Masters than I am the Final Four in the last game. Although, did you see they moved the last game tip up?
Oh, did they?
8:50 is tip. You know, they finally listened to people on the East Coast who have bitched and moaned about a 9:20 tip.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't know where I saw it because I've read like 3 articles on the players in the last couple days. But Scheffler, in one of the wins that he has, was a late Thursday, early Friday, but he's the only one out of the last like 7 that's gone late Thursday and early Friday and won. Typically, it's been early Thursday, late Friday for whatever reason. Wins, I'm sure, but
Right.
so I'm going with Hideki. That's my pick for the players.
I'm going with Kim.
I like it. He's playing great golf.
He's playing great
golf.
Right. So I think so far this year he's the most under par on tour. I'm going to take a flyer on him.
That's a great pick. I love it. Hideki plays this course really well.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, like they had Hal Sutton on the Golf Channel yesterday, and think about it, Hideki's like a more powerful Hal Sutton, point to point to point, you know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Thursday. Do you know a week from today, the full field tournament gets underway? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks for making us part of your day and your week. Hope your week is going well. We got over the hump yesterday. Mark, I know you're having a good week. By the way, even my mother said, man, you two were fired up yesterday. I go, yeah, you can tell pretty early. You can tell damn near by the first break. Okay, what Miller and Moulton are going to bring to the show. You know pretty much by, 6:13 Eastern.
I think that's a fair statement. And you're right. I've had a great week. I'm in a great mood again this morning. And David, yesterday I did something that I've never done in my life.
Really?
Yes. Daughter had a softball game last night. And I have a problem with the late start games not starting on time. It's a 7:30 game. It's supposed to start at 7:30. It goes until 9. It's a school night. This is U10. I'd rather my daughter be in bed at a reasonable hour than be at the softball field till 9:30 at night. So they're late with everything. Fields aren't chalked. The coach gets that done about 7:33, and we're about to start. No umpire. Apparently, another field stole our umpire because their umpire didn't show, and a boys' baseball is more important than girls' softball.
Did they offer $3 to $5 more? Is this NIL?
It could be.
Did you have an umpire committed to you and the SEC swooped in and stole him?
Certainly seemed like the umpire went to Ole Miss. And
hotty toddy.
Exactly. I mean, how can you go wrong at the Grove?
Gonna say Katy Perry's on campus occasionally. I might walk around the two.
So they're trying to figure out what to do. And I pretty loudly said, I'll do it. Because I want the damn game to start.
Right, let's go.
Let's go. And the assistant coach, who happens to be a listener of the show, looks at me and goes, are you serious? I said, absolutely. Let's anything to get this game started on time.
Yeah, we're out of here at 9 o'clock, by the way. I'll make up for the lost time. Tell the pitchers and the hitters going to be a lot of strikes, just so you know. Let's go.
So they finally decide after about a minute to let me ump.
Yeah.
I had never umped, and I was laughing because the other coach of their team coached my daughter last year. He's a great guy. He's a ref in like the Sun Belt football, and he's trying to be an SEC ref. Super good guy, super positive guy. And he's like, that away, blue. And I happen to have a blue pullover on. I said, at least got the right colors. And for a half an inning, the umpire showed up late. They got someone to back up. For a half an inning, I was the home plate umpire. No mask, no chest protector, nothing. And all I am thinking the whole time is going, I'm going to get a foul ball in the teeth. And my daughter plays catcher. And if you want to talk about a shocked face, when dad's coming out to ump,
right,
and gets behind home plate behind his daughter. And I couldn't, David, I thought I was going to have the wide strike zone. I couldn't do it. I felt so badly. The poor girl on our team's pitching hard. It was high. It was inside. I don't know what to tell you. They're balls.
Did you talk to the hitter at all? Just say, hey,
Talk
you
to
guys
everybody.
just got to start swinging. Okay, if it's close, swing.
The coach threw me a glove for protection. The one mistake I make is one came about head high with runners on first and second, and they can steal. And instinctively, I caught it. And I handed the ball back to my daughter, and she threw it to the pitcher. I turned around to the side of the stands where the other team was. I was like, I am sorry. That was all instinct. I know your runners should be on second and third. We'll figure it out here, okay? Right. Unfortunately, they laughed and didn't yell at me. But I've never umpired a game before. And I thought they were going to replace me with an automatic balls and strike count, but they did bring in another umpire who appeared to be about 13 years old.
I so wish that either your daughter, a hitter, or the pitcher at some point had turned around and tapped their head like the ABS. Okay. I would, in fact, I would have tried to arrange it with somebody in the on deck circle. Hey, listen, first called strike, just step out and look at the umpire and tap your head and say, yeah, I want to see that one again.
That would have been fantastic.
Blue, are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
All right.
So a little umpiring last night.
I highly recommend it for everybody. I did a summer in the late 80s. I was only part-time in the business. I had lost my first full-time job, and I was just a part-time number 3 guy at the NBC affiliate. And so I was bartending, delivering pizzas, umpiring, you name it, just to, make money. And so I did a full summer. I think it was the summer 87. I think it was 21 years old. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it. $15 a game and 2 hot dogs and a soda.
Whew.
Oh my goodness.
Even deal right there.
Double headers. Let's go. Are you kidding me? $30 cash, 4 hot dogs, 2 drinks. Huh. This is fantastic. Yeah. I screwed up a call once. Pretty good. Kind of like you when you put the glove up and you anticipated it. Okay. Pitch was behind the hitter's head. Okay. Not intentional. All right. Hitter crouches down, has the bat parallel to the ground. Ball hits the bat. And I instinctively yell, foul ball. And the ball hit the bat square and bounced in foul territory and rolls right in front of the plate in fair territory. Catcher picks the ball up and tags the hitter and looks at me like, what the hell? And the manager comes out and I go, I screwed up. I called it foul. I can't now call them out. I blew it. I'm sorry. And he goes, well, okay, can't argue with that. He walks back to the dugout. Okay, I did say to the hitter, I go, just so you know, if it's remotely close, the rest of this at bat, it's a strike, okay?
Got to tell you, I watched a decent amount of the second half of OKC in Boston. And even though the Celtics chucked up 6 million three-pointers, the game was entertaining. They played hard.
Yeah, they went after it
They
last night.
played hard.
Yep.
I don't like that many three-pointers being taken. It's not my style. But if they play with that intensity, and I get 7 games of that in June, sign me up.
Tied going to the 4th. All three quarters were close. Yeah, they went after it last night. Both teams looked at the schedule and said, "What do you think?" Yeah, let's give it a go tonight.
And no Porzingis for the Celtics, which I don't know how often you can count on him.
Well, but this was weird because, he's had so many physical ailments. I guess he has a virus. He posted something a couple days ago. I didn't specify what it was. He obviously doesn't have to, but it's weird. It's not like he's got a torn knee ligament or something like that.
I know.
Like he's had in the past.
And that opens them up more, even though it opens their 3-point shooters up more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's certainly a part of it, but they played hard last night.
Yeah.
Regular season game. They got after it. And I know none of you like the association. And I know you were all watching, Ohio State play Iowa in the Big Ten tournament, because that's a lot of fun. So I had no interest in college basketball yesterday. After the Lamar game, Lamar McNeese, early game. So it's
Lamar McNeese, right?
Okay.
Well, and I was
American took care of Navy.
Well,
pretty early.
A minute in the game, one of the best players for Navy punched a kid from American in the groin, it looked like. He got ejected. And so they're out one of their best players a minute into the game. I'm like, well, this isn't going to go well. So, yeah. We'll say this. Celtics have just lost back-to-back showdown games with the Cavs and the Thunder at home. We should just keep that in mind. Now, Boston went into Cleveland like a month or so ago when Cleveland was riding high, and Cleveland was like, the East runs through us this year. And Boston said, yeah, okay, we'll see about that. And Boston beat them. So we should just keep that in mind. Some of these showdown regular season games, home teams have not been winning them.
And if the Knicks play a showdown game, they lose it no matter where it is.
Well, right. But definitely at the Garden. My goodness. All that hype, all those celebrities. Yeah, they're not winning. Please, come on. I do feel badly for them, and not just because it's the team that I root for, but the Knicks are kind of like, they're the fourth best team in the league, Mark. I think they're better than Denver because they're a little deeper. If you want to argue they're the fifth best team, but I think they're the fourth best team in the league. But you've got Boston, Cleveland, and OKC. Put them in whatever order you want. And to me, isn't this kind of like the Ravens? Think about it. Baltimore was going to have to win at Buffalo and at Kansas City just to get to the Super Bowl. Well, the Knicks, in theory, are going to have to win a best of 7 with Boston having home court, and then a best of 7 with Cleveland having home court. So now, did we think going into the playoffs, did you think that the Ravens realistically were going to go to the Super Bowl? We all acknowledge, pretty good team, dangerous team. Got some real players on this team. But you just looked at the road ahead of them and you said, well, this is going to be hard. And I kind of feel that that's where the Knicks are right now. I confidently believe they're the fourth best team in the league. But, Mark, I don't know when they're going to be first, second, or third.
And based on the way they've played against the big three, there's a canyon between 3 and 4 right now, unfortunately, if you're a Knicks fan, because they can't beat anybody in the big three, let alone thinking they could beat them 4 out of 7 times.
Don't we right now think there's kind of 5 teams that are a little bit ahead of everybody else? We'll go Philly, Detroit, and the NFC. Even though Washington beat Detroit and made the NFC Championship game. Let's face it, if they play 10 times in the playoffs, Detroit's going to win 7 or 8 of them. And then you got, obviously, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. And, you get Washington, the Rams, whoever, Cincinnati, who's the team that's going to jump in and upset the proverbial apple cart? Doesn't the NBA feel the same way?
It does, David. I think that's a great comp. We'll talk a little players with Ron Sirak in the 7 o'clock hour. We will talk Eagles and Lions in the 8 o'clock hour. They're starting 25 minutes away on Miller and Moulton. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Everybody just chilling this morning? I think it's because Wednesday night was probably the quietest sports night we've had in a few nights. Sonny, I'm trying to figure out if that tree is BS or if it's more an optical illusion. But I have to admit, I'm leaning more BS.
So I'm listening on the way in, and in here are those, Morning Sports Center, and they're talking about North Carolina's in. Lenardi has North Carolina in. They beat Notre Dame. How the F can they be in?
1-11, quad one. Well, here's the problem, I think, Mark. A lot of those guys had Ohio State as like the last team in. So now who did they put in after Ohio State lost to Iowa? Are they really going North Carolina? I mean, no offense, I'd go Xavier.
Well, Shelby's got Baylor, Indiana, Xavier, and Colorado State as the last team in. And then he has UC Irvine, Texas, Boise, and UNC as the first four out.
Look at him giving UC Irvine some love.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Do we have an obvious poll question today?
Not to me. Nothing, it's not whatever day. It's not this. It's not that. So, no, we have to come up with one on our own.
Think there's enough interest in the bubble? Okay. Do you think we can, put a team up there and say, should they be in, yay or nay?
No.
Okay.
I don't think if we put North Carolina, yay or nay, that's a legit poll. Maybe we could go Colorado State. No.
If one of these two teams is going to make the dance, who should it be? North Carolina or Texas? Because they both won yesterday, Mark. That's at least Texas beat a team that's in the tournament, right?
Yes.
So I guess they deserve some credit, but they've played teams that are in the tournament for 2 months. They've beaten like 4 of them. How many games do you have to lose until you're finally out?
In the SEC, you can never be out, David.
Apparently not. I didn't realize men's basketball was like softball, where, you're in the SEC, you're in the tournament. Oh, no problem. Where do you want to be seated? Where do you want to go? So, all right, we'll work on that. How did our questions end up yesterday? Girl Scout cookies?
Girl Scout cookies won, but most importantly, it had a couple of more votes than the quarterback question. By the end of the day, the Girl Scout cookie question was the most voted on question of the two. Thin Mint's getting 47% of the vote, Samoa's getting 32% of the vote, and Tagalong's getting 21% of the vote.
Okay.
But in the question, if you had to pick one of these two to be your quarterback, who would you choose? 64% of our audience chose Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson.
I find that very interesting. How many people have stood up for Aaron Rodgers in our audience in the last 8 months?
Right. And I think if it were against a lot of other quarterbacks, they would have picked a lot of other quarterbacks. But people remember the
Denver Russell Wilson.
Denver run, and then the last 5 games in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they went horribly for the Steelers. And Russ was the quarterback for all of it. So I think that's part of it. That's why I picked Aaron Rodgers.
Did you see some of the signings yesterday? I got to admit, there was one out there I found interesting. I know rushing for 1,000 yards isn't what it used to be because you got 17 games now. And what do you have to rush for, like 58 yards a game to get 1,000? But, I mean, we all acknowledge the Cowboys were not good last year, correct?
Right.
Cowboys did not have a good offensive line last year, correct?
That's also correct.
And the Cowboys really struggled to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Rico Dowdell rushed for over 1,000 yards on the Cowboys last year. Rushed for 1,079 yards. I mean, that's like, I don't know, 63 yards a game. They were playing from behind the whole time. He wasn't getting good blocking. And he rushed for over 1,000 yards. He's 26 years old. Okay. He got $3 million. And not to stay in Dallas either. So that means the Cowboys were offering less or nothing at all. Does that seem like, I don't know, a lot of disrespect there? I mean, rush for 1,079 yards. You're 26 years old. $3 million? I mean, he's going to Carolina where he's clearly the number 2 running back also. I mean, they got Chuba Hubbard, and now they let Miles Sanders go because they got Dowdell for less than what they were going to have to pay Sanders. But I don't know. I just found that. I'm like, man, that's a solid player. I mean, really? That's all he can get? 26-year-old running back, $3 million? You guys pay attention to the league last year? Running backs had real value. I don't know. I just thought that was one of those signings. Meanwhile, DeMarcus Lawrence is 32 years old. All right. He has trouble staying on the field for various reasons. And he got $14 million a year for 3 years to rush the passer in Seattle. If I'm Rico Dowdell, I'm like, I'll be damned. I am playing the wrong position, man.
Yes, you are. Running backs don't get paid. Elite ones are the only ones that get paid, and they're woefully underpaid. And that's why you got to give Barkley credit. He signed the deal, and one of the, when he was talking about it, he goes, man, I hope Gibbs and I hope this guy and I hope that guy all surpass it.
Right. Everybody get paid. So the Rams cut Cooper Kupp. You interested?
I mean, obviously it depends on the team and the situation, but 100%. 100%. There are so many teams that could use a Cooper Kupp.
He turns 32 in June. He had 67 catches last year, but they basically held him out of 5 games. But when he played, he averaged 5+ catches a game. He had a touchdown catch every other game on average. Is he going to be 2021 Cooper Kupp again? No. 3rd and 6. You want Cooper Kupp on your team? I do. I think he's going to get open. He's going to catch everything. He's tough. Can take the hit. Will stick his nose in there and block. I mean,
team you just mentioned that let the running back go. Dallas is a perfect candidate for Cooper Kupp.
You would think, although they're not. Jerry's showing money around like he doesn't have it again.
I understand, but I don't think you have to spend a lot to get Cooper Kupp. Valdez Scantling got $5.5 million to go to Seattle. What's Cooper Kupp going to cost you for a year? 8 tops?
I would think tops.
Tops.
Although apparently there are 5 teams that are interested, so maybe he's able to leverage team against team and get it up there. Plus, I'm guessing you might have to go 2 years,
Okay, maybe.
and guarantee a year and a half of it, if you know what I mean. Would you go 2 for 16, guarantee 12?
Sure,
Okay.
I would. I think he's worth it.
I do too.
By all accounts, he plays hard every down. You've never heard bad things from a locker room standpoint. No, give me Cooper Kupp. He's going to make my team better.
This is the part of the NFL also, and this is a total geek moment for me, but this is a part of the NFL that I love. So the Rams cut him, but he's not cut till June 1st. So they have to carry his cap hit until June 1st. He counts for $29.8 million against the cap. So for the next 2.5 months, the Rams have $30 million less to play with. Then all of a sudden on June 1st, they'll have a lot more money to play with. Well, who's available on June 1st? A few people. His cap hit, by the way, dead cap hit is over 22 million. And it's going to be like just under 15 this year, 7.5 next year. I love how teams get themselves in these binds.
It's what the NFL has become. As much as it is a players' league, it's your capologist and what he's able to do to manipulate the numbers so you can keep kicking the can down the road to get players.
A Fortune 500 tax person or an NFL capologist, who's playing with the numbers more? That could be a poll question.
Boy, you're coming up with all of them. Maybe we can talk about it during the break. The starting five is next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
See, Sonny, I would say it's hard to like the Panthers because of the rat. Like that went from me liking that team to I can't root for that. What do you guys want for a poll question? Because obviously discussing it with David's not going to happen.
My left knee being troublesome today.
I don't really want to go players because I think that limits people.
Okay.
The college basketball one, that's tough.
I know.
We're going to run out of time here because we've only got about 40 seconds.
Dodgers or the field? Do you want to wait till Monday? Also, that they're playing this in Japan on Monday. But
which individual award means the most to the player? NFL MVP, NBA MVP.
Man, they obsess over the MVP in the NBA.
I know. I know they do.
Golly.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
At 22 minutes before the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Talk a little golf with Ron Sirak in an hour. Head to Philly. Talk to Rob Ellis. 8 a.m. Eastern. 2 hours from now, we'll head to Detroit. Talk to longtime Detroit sportscaster Ronnie Duncan. We're going to pull the Andy Baskin with Ronnie. You know, got the Guardians, who might be the slight favorite to win the Central again. The Cavs with the best record in the NBA, and the Browns are a soap opera. So when we had Andy Baskin on, we talked about all three. Well, heck, who can't we talk about in Detroit? Tigers coming off a playoff season. Wings in playoff contention, second year in a row. Look as if they're going to come up short again, but they're 2 points out of a playoff spot. The Pistons are tied for the fourth best record in the East, for goodness sakes. And then there's the Lions. Losing coaches, losing some players, loading up, however, on one side of the ball so far this offseason. So a lot to talk to Ronnie Duncan about. We'll do so 2 hours from now. Right now, it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
I may throw a few too many numbers at you for this hour of the day. I'll apologize in advance. And this is really the geek in me coming out. Rams cut Cooper Kupp. He'll be a post-June 1st cut. They have to carry $30 million on the cap between now and then. Then when they do cut him, well, he's going to cost them about $15 million on this year's cap and nearly $7.5 million next year. Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers, even though they announced it a month ago. He's also a June 1st cut. A $49 million cap hit getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. They'll end up having 14 of it on the books this year, and Aaron Rodgers is going to cost the Jets next year $35 million. Yikes. Jets also released 32-year-old linebacker C.J. Mosley. He's also a June 1st cut. He'll count nearly $9 million on the cap this year and nearly $8 million on the cap next year. Steelers signed Darius Slay. Boy, Tomlin loves his old corners, doesn't he? 34-year-old Slay, 1 year, $10 million, fully guaranteed. Carolina, I like this signing. Rico Dowdell, 1 year, $3 million. 6.5 is possible with incentives. He's 26 years old. He gained nearly 1,100 yards rushing last year. Former Cowboy DeMarcus Lawrence, he's 33 next month. He just signed a 3-year, $42 million deal in Seattle. Anybody have a more interesting free agency week than the Seahawks?
obviously free agency and trades, but
Right.
yes,
Going
they
back
have.
to Friday, Saturday, the last 6 days. Anybody have a more interesting last 6 days? Want that to be the poll question? What teams had the most interesting last week? Mark, all I can do is make suggestions. And I know you love it when I do it on the air.
I so enjoy it
And
when I have 6 minutes to talk about it, and then we do it on air. It's my favorite thing.
Well, I know we have 6 minutes to talk about it, but I have a bad left knee. I had to elevate it for 5 of those 6 minutes. My bad. I'm sorry. I'll keep my headset on next time. Cowboys made a couple trades yesterday. A couple of former first-round picks. Kenneth Murray, a linebacker from the Titans. Gary Elam from the Bills. They're doing things like, hey, we'll give you a 6th. You give us a 7th back. Hey, we'll give you a 5th and a 7th. You give us a 6th back. That kind of stuff. Basically, teams able to get something for guys they were going to cut, and the Cowboys picked them up. There's been one false report this week in NFL free agency. 2 days ago, it was reported Mac Jones was signing in Tennessee. Yeah, Mac Jones signed with the 49ers last night. I've been talking for months about how Kyle Shanahan loved Mac Jones in the draft. Took Trey Lance and regrets it. Mac Jones, a 2-year deal for $7 million, 5 of it guaranteed, to back up Purdy. And I'm wondering if Kyle Shanahan is saying to John Lynch, hey, I'm telling you, Mac Jones can quarterback this team. You want to play hardball with Purdy, you go right ahead. I can make Mac Jones the starter of this team. I don't know of a coach in the NFL who believes in Mac Jones more than Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Trask re-signs with Tampa. 1 year, $2.8 million. And the Chargers re-sign wide receiver Mike Williams. 1 year, up to $6 million. College hoops, McNeese won the Southland. They beat Lamar by 9. American won the Patriot. First time in 10 years they go back to the dance. They beat Navy by 22. Montana won the Big Sky, Mark. They beat Northern Colorado 91-83. Your bubble games. Arkansas beat South Carolina by 4. Texas knocked off Vandy 79-72. North Carolina beat Notre Dame by 20. Got to figure Ohio State's out after losing to Iowa 77-70. Oklahoma, did they secure a spot in the field with the 81-75 win over Georgia in the SEC tournament yesterday? SMU keeps their slim hopes alive, beating Syracuse by 20. Same with Nova, beating Seton Hall by 12. UCF and Kansas was a good one. 3-point game at the half. UCF hit a late 3 to send it to overtime. Jayhawks won it 98-94. FAMU and FIU had their men's seasons come to an end in the quarterfinal round of their conference tournaments. Congratulations to South Florida. Jose Fernandez's Bulls won the AAC. They beat Rice 69-62. 3 overtimes. San Diego State won the Mountain West over Wyoming. And Mark, a putback by Montana State, won the Big Sky 58-57 over arch rival Montana. The AAC, by the way, becomes the first conference to officially announce how much money they're going to give to their athletes next year. They said that for the next 3 years, they will give their athletes a minimum of $10 million per school. However, they did exclude Army and Navy from the press release. Let me ask you this, and this qualifies, I think, for everyone listening, because we're all taxpayers, right? Would you have a problem if the U.S. government made Army and Navy a power? Let's go back to the 40s, baby. No?
Well, I mean, since we're cutting everything right now, I don't know how we could afford it, David.
Just saying it. It's a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. I just thought I'd have fun with that. Hey, Virginia and Minnesota fired their basketball coaches yesterday. The Virginia coach was the interim, taking over for Tony Bennett. Minnesota fired Ben Johnson. When are the Gophers going to realize it's them? Okay? It's them. Dan Monson got things started at Gonzaga. Could he win at Minnesota? No. Richard Pitino's a really good coach. Where couldn't he win? Minnesota. Tubby Smith's a great coach. Where couldn't he win big? Minnesota. Hey, Minnesota, I love you. It's you. Okay? Straighten it out. NBA. 9 games last night. Oklahoma City tied going to the fourth, beat Boston in Boston, 118-112, SGA with 34. Heat lost again. They're 7 games below 500. They lost by 15 at home to the Clippers. Miami's the 9 seed in the East. Atlanta's the 7 seed. Hawks have been playing better. They're only 2 below 500. They beat Charlotte 123-110. Mikal Bridges with a 3 at the buzzer. Knicks won in Portland in overtime, 114-113.
Thought that was big after Bridges told Thibodeau that we need to start resting the starters a little bit. And
right.
He hits the big shot to win the game.
Thibodeau was asked about it after the game yesterday, and he's like, well, I don't know what conversation you're referring to, but here's the deal. Wings play more than others. That's just the way it is, number one. Number two, if LeBron plays 40 minutes, then the guy guarding him is going to play 40. That's how it works.
No, actually, I mean, all respect to your ability to coach, that's not how it works. It's different guys that defend guys throughout the game. Tom, I'm sorry.
Well, and
because LeBron plays 40 minutes doesn't mean his defender also guards him for 40 minutes. Could be several people. I don't know if you're aware of that.
And that's been the knock on Tibbs throughout his career. T-Wolves have won 6 in a row. They beat Denver in Denver by 20, 115-95. Oliver Miller passed away yesterday at the age of 54. And I hate to say this, but when I think of Oliver Miller, I think of the Barkley story. They're in Phoenix together. Paul Westfall's the coach of the Suns, and he says to Miller, Oliver, we need you to rebound more. You got to go get the ball at the rim. And Barkley at practice said, put a Big Mac up there, he'll get it. NHL, Patrick Kane turned back the clock last night. 2 goals, 3 helpers. Wings 7-3 over the Sabres. Detroit 2 points behind Columbus for the final playoff spot in the East. Vancouver beat Calgary in a shootout 4-3. The 2 teams are tied for the final playoff spot out west with 71 points. Calgary has played 1 less game. Utah, the hockey club's just 2 games out of a playoff spot in the West. They beat Anaheim 3-2. And the Canadians remain a point out of the playoffs because they only got a point last night in Seattle. The Kraken beat them 5-4 in overtime. PGA Tour, the Players' Championship gets underway today. Scotty Scheffler looking for a three-peat. Rory McIlroy met with the media yesterday, was asked a bunch of things. One of them was about the Champions Tour. He said, quote, absolutely not, unquote, am I playing on the Champions Tour. He goes, if I'm still playing professional golf at 50, something has gone horribly wrong. We'll see. And did you see Morikawa's caddy yesterday?
Unbelievable.
So they have a tradition on the Wednesday before the players. The players are playing the practice round or what have you, and they get to the 17th, and the caddies hit the tee shot on 17, not the golfer. And J.J. Jakovac, Colin Morikawa's caddy, hold a 131-yard pitching whiz. He hit the slope, sucked it back off the slope, and right in the cup. They went nuts.
Yes, they did. That was
yesterday.
Awesome. Great video.
Bobby Witt Jr., the Royal sensational shortstop, hit in the forearm with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, no fracture. Don't know when he'll be ready to play. Season starts 2 weeks from today for everyone not named the Dodgers and Cubs, but no fracture for Bobby Witt Jr. And Mark, I end with this. I end with a bit of a trivia question. Arizona State's athletic department announced their budgetary shortfall last year. How much money they're going to need from the general student population to make things whole. Would you care to guess the Arizona State athletic department's shortfall last year?
I thought it was like 54 million.
$51.7 million shortfall.
Sorry, I was over a little, but yeah.
Yeah. And remember, their football team went to the playoff, and they had a lot of people going to their games in the regular season. And they were 52 million in the hole. And now they say they're going to get serious about paying the players. Oh, well, good. I'm guessing student fees are going up at Arizona
Student
State.
fees are going up, David. Student fees are going up.
And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was starting five. Five big stories and a $52 million budget deficit that you needed to know about here on Miller and Moulton.
That's the, I think, second largest school in terms of attendance in the country, too. I think UCF has more enrollees than Arizona State, but they're close.
And I thought Arizona State had the biggest online program, that it was six figures. Over 100,000 students online are part of Arizona State. If you're a president, though, of the university, you have a problem with the athletic department, a $52 million shortfall, or do you just go, hey, man, price of doing business?
Student fees, baby. Student fees. I'll get it back for you. Don't you worry.
Go replace. Hey, coach, you just go replace Scattaboo, okay? Just go get another Scattaboo.
By the way, did you see Scattaboo's getting sued by a teammate?
Yeah, for an incident. A golf cart incident?
Yeah, he was jumping on the back of the golf cart. The player fell out, got hurt, said it never could play again, and is suing Scattaboo for damages. Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak coming up next hour. David and I will make our players' predictions and a poll question, I promise. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, I think I got one for you. I think I got a question for you.
Okay.
So, did you see what Morikawa said yesterday?
No.
So Morikawa did his media thing yesterday, and Morikawa blew the media off Sunday after finishing second by a stroke. He didn't talk at the Arnold Palmer. Rocco Mediate eviscerated Morikawa like Tuesday and basically said if Arnie were alive, he called him Mr. Palmer, would have found him and grabbed him and made him available to you. Morikawa yesterday was asked about, hey, and he said, listen, I just didn't feel like talking to anybody. And besides, I don't know you guys anything. I don't. No offense, but I don't. And so I'm wondering if that's a good question. You know, does the athlete, you know, now we have to define you guys, you know, do you put media only? Do you put media / fans? Okay. But just wondering.
Well, see, I think he interprets that as I don't owe the media anything, but he owes the fans something. He does.
Well, I agree. And, you know, these guys, you know, don't look at the media as the conduit to the fans. They look at the media as their own entity.
Right. And as the enemy.
Oftentimes, yes. Which is funny, like we've talked about. Can you have a softer media than the golf media? I mean, my goodness. I mean, is there a sport in which they're softer? I mean, I think the golf media is softer than the tennis media. So I don't know. That's an idea.
I like it. I'm just, do athletes owe the media?
He specifically said, you guys. You know, you put that in quotes, but
I'm just trying to figure out how to write this question.
no, I know. Also, you got to make sure you spell Colin Morikawa right.
I was looking it up. That's why there was a pause.
See, this is where, you know, like I will say in the NBA and the NHL, like if a coach or a
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour two of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Just think, the Players' Championship gets underway in the next 30 or so minutes. The NCAA tournament will get underway a week from now, at least the full field. You know, the bracket that you filled out, not the whole, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, True TV, yada, yada. By the way, did you see what the commissioner of the Big 12 said, Mark, a day or two ago? He said the number's 76. He said 76 is perfect. So you got three of the commissioners. You got SEC, Big 10, and Big 12 all on board for 76. Does anybody think this isn't going to happen?
I've said it for months. When we've interviewed college basketball people, I've asked them, is this the last year that we are at the current number? Was listening to a little Sirius XM's college sports radio yesterday.
Okay.
And that was only because it was on in the car from listening to the Delaware game the night before.
Gotcha.
That's the reason it was on. And they were talking about expanding the tournament. And I don't know who the host was. And his logic was, well, how do we know 96 doesn't work unless we go to 96? Excuse me? How many teams do we need to put in this damn thing?
I was going to say, then on Tuesday and Wednesday, you got to have 32 games because we have to eliminate 32 teams. That's the other thing that this whole expanded field is threatening to do. They may change the dates. Like the first round may not be Thursday, Friday anymore, and second round be the weekend. And then, we all know how it works. And we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to regroup as fans. If by chance you're traveling with the team, you got a few days to, go home and what have you, and then plan for the next round, and then you got the elite, you got the Sweet 16 on that Thursday or Friday, and then you got the Elite 8 on that Saturday or Sunday. And I'm told that for television purposes, that 76, when they go to it, it may change the dates. And that's what I'm more curious about than anything. Like if the second round games are being played on a Monday, I don't see how that's good for ratings. I mean, we've talked about this Sunday late afternoon, Sunday evening. You can't get a better day or time for ratings. That's when the last two spots in the Final Four are also being played out on a Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. You want to do this on a Monday now? I don't see how this is good.
And as sports fans, as human beings, we don't like change.
No.
At all. And moving the tournament from, what you just talked about, all of a sudden Monday regional final games. Now, we can laugh here, but the NCAA still runs this tournament.
Uh-huh.
So what they're going to do then is have more days where, come on, there's no laugh track, but just insert one here. Student athletes are nowhere near a school.
Well, and we've talked about this, and I think most fans know, there is nothing that disrupts the student athlete experience more than an NCAA tournament.
And beginning with the conference tournament the week before.
Right.
I mean, if you're a good program, if you're Florida, you're going to play all week this week, next week, the following, and hopefully one more.
I mean, you might go to classes Monday in Gainesville, possibly Tuesday if your first round game is Friday. And then maybe you got one day in a classroom the following week. And I know I've told this story before, but when FGCU made the Sweet 16 a dozen years ago, the morning of their Sweet 16 against the Gators, there was a 2-hour study hall from noon to 2 in the hotel. And I walked in there and it was packed. And I turned to then Coach Andy Enfield and I said, you think the Gators study hall is packed right now?
But I will say it is the one thing, and we've had, the former AD, Ken Kavanaugh, was big on the grade point average.
Absolutely.
That was maybe the most important thing to him. And I'm not saying he didn't want to win, but as far as where he ranked things,
right,
that grade point average, I think, was the most important thing to him as an athletic director.
Right. He constantly called them student athletes, and sometimes we would break out into a laugh track, right in front of him. And he would go, well, there's student athletes here. Okay. All right. Gotcha. But hey, I have an idea for a poll question.
All right, give it to me.
You can't yell at me because I did give you this idea during the break.
I know. That's why I was very calm when I answered you.
Okay. But I just want to assure you, it's the same idea that I told you during the break. I didn't come up with another one.
I was hoping that was the case, David. I really was. 50-50, but I was hoping.
Colin Morikawa, isn't he ranked 4th in the world or something like that? He finished 2nd last week in the Arnold Palmer because that guy chipped in for Eagle. Although there's a dispute as to whether it really happened, because did NBC actually have it on tape
Just
or
the
no?
second half of it.
Gotcha. So we don't know if it was his chip that went in, Russell Henley. Somebody's chip went in, and they counted it to Russell Henley, and so he beat Morikawa by a stroke. And Morikawa, I don't think, had won a tournament last year. I think Morikawa has
been a couple of years since he's won a tournament.
Right. Hey, same for Henley, by the way. Henley, I think, had 10 runner-ups since his last win. But anyway, back to Morikawa. Morikawa, after the round Sunday, did not talk to the media. He didn't. He just went to the locker room and got in his car and went to the hotel and went home. Or went to, the players. Because it's 2 hours away. And the media was a little miffed. I mean, you finished 2nd in a tournament by a shot. I mean, very few guys blow off the media in that situation. Well, Rocco Mediate heard about it, and he eviscerates Morikawa, I think, on Tuesday. And so that kind of kept the story going. You know how it works. And Morikawa met with the media yesterday. And he was asked about, hey, why didn't you, show up after the round on Sunday? And he said, I didn't feel like it. I just wanted to be by myself. And here's the quote, and I don't owe you guys anything. Sorry, guys, but I don't. I don't owe you anything, unquote. And I'm just curious. And once again, you and I, we don't think all that highly of ourselves, nor as the group that is called, quote, the media, unquote. But there's no doubt that the media, which started out as just the conduit, Mark, between you and the fans, the media now is its own entity. And clearly, Morikawa, I don't believe he's saying, I don't know the fans anything. But they don't look at us in the media as the conduit to the fans anymore. They look at us as like we're a member of the opposing political party.
First and foremost, if I was Jay Monahan, and I don't know if there's any policy, that would institute an instant fine to Colin Morikawa. One of the things that these guys make money on at the end of the year is that, what is it, the PIP fund? Not the PIF, which is the LIV.
Right.
The PIP, I believe it's called.
Right, which is a popularity contest, and the most popular golfers get the biggest checks.
And they're big checks.
They are millions.
I believe that the top guys are getting 8 figures.
Yes, they are.
So part of what your job is, Colin, is to talk to the media because that's the conduit for the fans. And if you think that that's not the case and that they're the enemy, then I would maybe introduce you to the New York media market when a team's playing badly and how they may treat a player. Because this is the golf media, after all.
Right.
They're lapdogs.
Yes. Tough to find a softer media group than golf media.
They want to all like the players. They want to tell the positive stories of the players. And the "you guys" comment makes it an us against them type situation for Morikawa. And I don't think, particularly for a guy who's pretty well liked, that that's an avenue you want to go down. Because if the fans decide to turn for any reason, golfers couldn't handle it. They can't handle when fans are on them. Ask Justin Thomas.
But I think you agree with the premise that when he said, I don't owe you guys, unquote, anything, he's not talking about the fans, that he views the media as you guys. And he doesn't view them as the intermediary between himself and the fans.
Then he needs to have someone sit him down and explain how wrong he is for that stance.
And so I'm wondering if there's a way to come up with a poll question to say, is he right? Is he wrong? Because here's the other truth. I mean, you can ignore, quote, the media, unquote, more than ever before. Through social media, there's a way for you to go directly to your fans and skip us, so to speak.
Yes and no, because then you're just putting out your statement. You're not answering any questions. You're not, to me, fulfilling part of your job as an athlete when you get paid that kind of money is sometimes to have to answer tough questions. And it sucks. He lost on Sunday. Had the lead throughout up until the 16th hole. But at some point, for the millions you're getting paid to hit a little white ball, it would be nice if you could answer a question. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
$2.2 million, by the way, Morikawa earned last week.
Well, and I think the point, and I very rarely can agree ever with Brandel Chambly. The other side of it is he owes the sponsors of that tournament. I mean, that's a great point that Chambly makes. I thought one of them in here, I think it was Lucifer, had it, So here's what I have. Change it if you want. Colin Morikawa said on Tuesday when asked about why he didn't talk to the media after finishing second on Sunday, "I don't owe you guys anything. Do the players owe the media interviews?"
Yeah.
And he didn't say you guys. He said, I don't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys.
Just heated, just pissed, I don't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys, but for me, in the moment of that time, I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't need any sorries. I didn't need any good playings. You're just pissed, right? And honestly, if it was an hour later, I would have talked to you guys, but an hour later, I was on my way out to here because I didn't want to be in Orlando anymore. I just felt like I put everything I did into the, let's call it 7 hours of my time being there, right? A few hours before showing up, physio, workout, my entire routine, right? I was just drained. And I get it. You guys are there to figure out how we played and how things went. But in my perspective, I just didn't want to talk to anyone. And I think that's fair to myself,
Hey. You might not know it to look at me, but I can run really, really fast.
Buffalo finished the game with 6 guys on the bench and 5 on the ice. Got a little chippy. The ref called a penalty in which he goes, I forgot the Detroit minor on someone. Everybody else did one of these, David. Everyone else misconduct.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Ron Sirak, talk a little golf in a little more than 15 minutes time. 40 minutes from now, we'll head to Philly, talk with Rob Ellis, and we'll head to Detroit in a little over an hour. Got a lot of good teams to talk about in Detroit. It's been a while since you could say that.
Yes, it has.
Ronnie Duncan will join us in a little more than an hour's time. So did you settle on the poll question?
I did. It's a little wordy because we had to put Morikawa's quote in there, but Colin Morikawa said on Tuesday when asked about why he didn't talk to the media after finishing second on Sunday, like, I don't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys. Do players owe the media interviews? Yes or no?
My guess is no is going to win. Quote, the media is a very unpopular group right now. When they do those popularity, contests, only Congress rates lower than, quote, the media,
right.
Unquote.
The media ranks behind dentists. Think about that.
So, and most people, I think now, Mark, do not view the media as the conduit to them. When I think for the longest time, I think in the 20th century they did. I think in the 21st century, the media, news, sports, and otherwise, has become kind of its own entity. And I don't think most sports fans view the media as a conduit.
No, but, it's interesting because you pick your spots, and we've not talked about this at all, and we don't talk about the association a whole hell of a lot. But the Lakers and the Knicks played. And what was it, before the start of the third quarter, LeBron came over and got into Stephen A. Smith. Hard.
Right. Apparently.
Hard. I mean, now people who were around it have put out the, keep my kid's name out of your blanket mouth. And Stephen A. just took it all. And, from what he said, wasn't going to talk about it until the clips went everywhere, and he felt he kind of had to, getting $20 million a year. ESPN people like, no, you're going to talk about this.
Well,
and I was,
and he said specifically, Mark, so apparently the Lakers then went to Boston a couple days later, and they played the Celtics. And before the game, Richard Jefferson and LeBron were talking, and that conversation was caught on tape, in which Jefferson kind of confronted him about Stephen A. And he was just trying to say, hey, you gotta tone it down, buddy. And LeBron was like, no, I don't. And I guess further said to Jefferson why it is he took the approach he did. And then Stephen A. said, oh, once he said that, now I'm going to respond, for whatever it's worth.
But I mean, it's interesting because Stephen A. is one of the most polarizing guys in sports media.
Absolutely.
But, he and his former partner Bayless, I don't know if there are any two more polarizing people in the sports media business. LeBron is the most polarizing person, I think, in sports right now. There's no middle ground on LeBron.
I'd agree with that.
And it seems that most people are taking Stephen A.'s side on this.
Which just shows you how many, and I think a lot of people who are not fans of Stephen A. also are taking his side because, well, I don't like him, but I like him more than the other guy.
But you can't have it both ways if you're an athlete. You can't use the media when it's convenient for you and then attack the media or ignore the media when it's not the right time.
And obviously you can, but you just need to be pointed out as the hypocrite that you are. Okay. What's interesting to me, also golf is the gentleman's game. And there are sponsors shelling out big money. There are sponsors shelling out big money to Colin Morikawa. I know this is where a sponsor, and I don't know who his big sponsors are. I don't know what's on his shirt, what's on his hat, if he wears one. I don't think he does. But, I would say, hey, buddy, I'm giving you millions. Do the 5 minutes on camera. I need to see that logo. You only play 20 times a year. And I pay you what I pay you. Never mind If is it MasterCard? Who sponsors the Arnold
MasterCard
Palmer?
is the sponsor of the Bay Hill.
Right. Arnold Palmer Invitational there. Right. I mean, if I'm MasterCard, I'm like, hey, buddy, for finishing second, you made $2.2 million. You can't do 5 minutes in front of the placard that has our logo on it? $2.2 million for 4 days, 6 if you count a practice round and a pro-am. I mean, really? Can't do 5 minutes? Yeah, I know. You're unhappy. You finished second. Sucks. Haven't won in a year and a half. I get it. 5 minutes.
Answer the questions, then you leave. I don't care. You owe it to the sponsors. You do. They're the ones flipping the bills.
My guess is No's going to win, though, because the media is very unpopular. And we've earned it. I mean, Miller and Moulton are not just back in the media because, like we're this great entity, of which we are obviously a pimple on the back of life as far as, quote, the media goes. But no, the media's earned it. Earned a lot of their own grief. A lot of their own, unpopularity, if you will. But
Texter at 21,000, where the text line is open. If you've not texted since August, you need to text the keyword Miller. Then you can text as much as you want. But he says, we get nothing but canned responses with interviews, so I don't care if players talk or not unless they have something real to say. Okay.
And I would argue that's one of the opportunities to actually get a real response. He said, I was angry.
If you've listened to the show for any length of time, we're always searching out for the 6 seconds to truth. And it's why when the microphone goes in a player's face right after the game, right after the match, right after the round, the opportunity to get that 6 seconds is far greater than it is after they've had 15 minutes, an hour, or whatever to cool off.
Right.
Now, I will say, Colin Morikawa was obviously very truthful in what he said on Tuesday. Like, I don't owe you guys anything.
Nope.
I don't owe anyone anything.
Right.
Because that, when you say I don't owe you guys anything, that implies the media. I don't owe anyone anything.
Right.
You selfish young man.
Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak will come up in 10 minutes. We'll talk about the players and get his thoughts as a member of the media.
Another texter says, I get what you guys are saying, but I don't think fans care.
No, I agree with you, sir or ma'am. Absolutely. Don't think they do either. I think they hate us. I do. I think they hate us, which is funny because they take in an awful lot of our content. I mean, think about all of you. I mean, for however long you listen to this show, but how much sports radio do you take in? Podcasts. Okay. How much reading of sports do you do? I mean, where do you think you're taking it in from? You're taking it in from the media.
Another texter says Morikawa is acting like he's the first person in history that has to do something at work that he doesn't want to do.
2.2 million.
2.2 million.
Yep.
And I like Morikawa.
Yeah.
And now I'm not rooting for him this week. Now, I'm not. I'm picking Hideki Matsuyama, by the way, for the players. They're about to tee off here in the next few minutes. I want to get my pick off before the players start playing at the players.
I'm going, is it Michael Kim?
Yeah.
Because you got Tom Kim and you got Michael Kim. I think Michael Kim is the most under par on the PGA Tour so far this year. Doesn't have a win to show for it. I'm going out there with Michael Kim. What the heck? Rob Ellis in 30 minutes. Ron Sirak is next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or NolanAgency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Fun fact. Syracuse has yet to win 2 straight games in the ACC tournament since joining the league.
Wow. When did they join the league? Like 2014? Because I think 2013 was the last of the old guard in the Big East. I like the Ingram signing yesterday. Irish football.
2013 they joined.
Okay. Yeah, 2014 basketball season, though, because they joined in the fall. Yeah. So the one ACC tournament got canceled because of COVID. So this is their 11th. Wow. Yet to win back-to-back games in the ACC tournament in 11 years. Wow. Whew. Well, ambient, this is a terrific running back draft. Whether you take one at 20 or you get one in the second round, this is a terrific running back draft. And it's a terrific tight end draft.
They don't need a tight end anymore because they signed Ingram.
Right. Do you have Ron?
Oh, crap.
It's okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Rob Ellis, WIP in Philadelphia, will join us coming up at the top of the hour. Ronnie Duncan, longtime Detroit sportscaster. Got a lot of good things to talk about. In fact, could the Wings be the worst team in Detroit right now? And they're 2 points out of a playoff spot. Ronnie Duncan, 1 hour from now, to join us here on Miller and Moulton. It's been a while, but Ron Sirak is kind enough to join us once again on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You know Ron contributes to the Golf Channel, legendary golf writer. You can read his stuff at Ron Sirak, SIRAK.com, and also you can follow him on X at Ron Sirak. Ron, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Won it, and the runner-up was a guy named Bernard Longer, who went on to win a few tournaments on the senior tour.
Wow. And now Scheffler trying to do something special and go 3 in a row this week. Do you think he can?
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating year for Scotty because we've been down this road with several players where they tease us with a couple of good years in a row, and we wonder if somebody's going to get on a Tiger-like role and really be dominant for 5, 6, 7 years or something. And I think this year it will be a big test for whether Scotty has that mental fortitude to go out and do it. And this would be a huge step in that direction. Do I think he can do it? Absolutely. There's no reason. I don't see anything in his game that doesn't show that he's still playing at that same level he's been playing at for the last couple of years.
When did this tournament become this big a deal? I'm nearly 60. When I was watching golf in the late 70s and the early 80s, there were regular tour events that, as a golf fan, I just felt were bigger than the players. When did this become what it is now?
Well, one of the great things about this tournament and this golf course is TPC Sawgrass has really evolved as a course over the years, and in my opinion, has gotten better and better and better as time's gone on. So I think the public, the course televises really well, and people love seeing that very, very exciting finish. 16, 17, 18 is one of the great closing stretches in golf. And so people became familiar with the course. They grew up with it and started to love to see when players were going to get there. I think you start to look back to 2000, the Hal Sutton be the right club today shot to take down Tiger Woods there. That was probably when it really started to get a whole lot of attention. But they moved it around. When I first covered it, it was in March. Then it went to May. Now it's back in March. It's in a good place now. But the evolution of that golf course and the fact that it televises so well and really captivates viewers is what solidified this event. Plus, it does have every year, year in and year out, one of the strongest fields in all of golf, stronger than most of the major championships when you go on the metrics.
All right. When the slow play talk came out, now they're going to post what players' rounds were. I say you fine them. David says you hit them with strokes. I don't think they'll ever do that, Ron, because I just don't think the PGA Tour has the guts to start penalizing players for slow play. It's on the books. How would you fix slow play? Because we all believe that it's a problem out there.
Yeah, the mechanism is there to fix it, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's stroke penalties. My memory is the last time that a stroke penalty was issued was sometime in the mid-'90s, because finding a player $1,000 or $10,000 is really not impactful to these guys with how much money they make. Giving them a two-stroke penalty could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can cost you a victory and something on your resume. I think they've identified things that in my mind, which are just so obvious that I don't know why they haven't done it before. I've been a big fan all along of every week. I think they should publish the names of the top 10 slowest players that week. There's nothing like public humiliation to change behavior. The two-stroke penalty is really, really important. They're talking now about also letting caddies go to rangefinders as a way to try to speed up play. I don't think that's a big deal in there. It's more the players' routines, and that some of these players are so overly coached that they have these pre-shot routines that just last forever and ever. But the stroke penalty is really what's going to change behavior.
Jack was dreadfully slow. I mean, Tiger could be. When things got tight, he could stalk over a shot for 5 minutes before he started his pre-shot routine. Do you think that we're overreacting a bit?
Well, it's funny. I was watching the Torrey Pines tournament on TV, and Dottie Pepper, the commentator, went off on slow play. And the first thought that pops into my mind is, Dottie wouldn't be saying this unless she hasn't already discussed it with her producers. So I think TV has been sending a message to golf. You got to be quicker, because it's not so much how long it takes. It's missing that TV window, the run over time. We're supposed to go off the air at 6 and turn it back to the local network, local stations for local news to come on there. And they want, and you're hearing this in all sports. Look, the NBA is talking about, floated the idea about it going to 40-minute games instead of 48. Everybody wants to tighten up that TV window and provide a more consistent product to appear on TV. And so I think that a big part of why this pushback's happening right now is the TV partners, the broadcast partners are saying to the PGA Tour, you got to do something about this.
Ron, Colin Morikawa I like Colin Morikawa. I like his game. I like watching him play. He blew off the media Sunday, and then Tuesday said, basically, I don't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys. And he went on to give his reasons why. Does someone need to sit down with Colin Morikawa and explain to him the sponsors he might owe, the fans he might owe, and that this was a little selfish, or do you think Colin was justified in doing what he did Sunday?
I would like to think that Colin over time will realize that he would have been better off not doing what he did. I'll tell you, so I'll go back in time, 1997 U.S. Open. Tiger Woods had won the Masters that year by 1 billion strokes. He was the favorite going into the Open, and he shot, I don't know, like a 74 or something on Thursday, first round, and he didn't come into the media room. Blew him off. Wouldn't even talk to a pool reporter in the locker room. So the next day, he shoots 67. He comes in the interview room, and the first 15 minutes, his questions are all about, hey, where were you yesterday, dude? And one of the lessons there, and players really need to get this, if you spend 2 minutes talking today, you're not going to have to spend 20 minutes explaining tomorrow why you didn't talk today. And look, as a reporter, we don't need very much from players. We just need 2 minutes with you. Just give me a couple of quotes about what was going on, what happened. And I hope that this is a learning lesson for Colin. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he understands the obligations of any athlete in any sport. The media, I mean, that's where your money, that's where that money comes from. All that money they're playing for comes from TV rights fees. You've got to make yourself available. It's part of your responsibility being a pro athlete.
Ron, and I'm a big, if you talk, then you talk when you win, you talk when you lose. If you don't want to talk, then don't ever talk. To me, it's one or the other. But Ron, and you've been doing this a while, you have to acknowledge that the way you were perceived by the golfers has changed over time. You weren't the enemy in the 70s, 80s, 90s. We have become the enemy in the last 20 years, some of which we've earned, haven't we?
Well, a big thing that's changed in the time that I was out there, and I feel very fortunate that I was out there in a very transitioning time. When I was first out there, you got to know the players better, and you established trust with them. You ran into players in the hotel bar. You ran into players in airport waiting lounges. You ran into them off the golf course. You had casual chats with them. You got to develop a trust and a bond with them. And then that started to go away as players were making more money, and they didn't stay in hotels anymore. They stayed in private housing. They didn't fly commercial airlines anymore. They flew in private jets. And agents came along and in some cases gave players bad advice about not opening up to the media. And, Arnold Palmer just instinctively knew that it's a good thing to have friends in the media. It's a good thing to have people you can talk to, that it's a give and take road. And I think that the relationships become more adversarial. And I think a big part of why it's become adversarial is now because of the enormous amounts of money that are out there. And it's created bigger barriers between the athletes and the people covering the athletes.
Who do you like this week at the Players? You going with the favorite Scheffler, or do you have someone else?
I'd have to say that I was looking at the odds on that, and Scheffler is a significant favorite in there. But I'm a big Ludwig Aberg fan. I think he might have a breakthrough. But if I had to make a pick right now, I can't go against Scotty Scheffler.
Analyzing Rory from afar, how do you think he is? Obviously, the next 4 weeks, you could argue it's the season for Rory. I mean, he's got to win the Masters or a major, because he hasn't won one in 11 years. But, Rory's already got a win. He's got other top finishes. I mean, how's Rory look to you?
I'll tell you that the scars from the U.S. Open are gonna linger for a long time. And this is a guy who's been inflicted with a lot of scars. My evaluation of Rory McIlroy has not changed. And I was there. His first PGA Tour win was Quail Hollow, 2010. He shot 62 on Sunday, and he was 20 years old to win the tournament. And I've thought that whole time, for 15 years, my evaluation of Rory is, with his A game, he is the best player in the world. His problem is he doesn't know how to win with his B game. And great players know how to do that. And that's still a problem that he's not convinced me that he struggles. He does not struggle well. Let's put it that way. When things start going south for him, he's not really good at righting the ship, and you can see it in his body language. You can see him sag. I was sure, I would have bet anything last year that he was going to win a major championship. I thought he was motivated by the LIV controversy. I think his game is phenomenal, but the same old problems still seem to come up with him when he gets a bad break, when something goes against him. You see him sag in his body language, and he doesn't turn the ship around and get the job done.
Ron Sirak, you'll see him on the Golf Channel. You can read him at Ron Sirak, SIRAK.com. And you can follow him on X at Ron Sirak, SIRAK. Ron, safe travels. Hope all is well. And, well, your beloved baseball season is going to start soon, Ron, 2 weeks today.
Talk to you down the road, my friend. And as a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, baseball season for me is known as waiting for the Steelers.
And it shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be. Thank you, Ron.
Ron's heading to Augusta. Let me know off air. So we'll talk to Ron as the Masters approaches. He will be in Augusta this year for the Masters. Ron has been great to us over the years, a regular guest on the show, and knows the ins and outs of the PGA and golf as well as anybody out there.
A legendary golf writer, honored by quite a few services, LPGA Tour, PGA of America. He has been one of the best over the years. Ron Sirak joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Something that I failed to mention in the starting five, and I have it right in front of me, fourth line. I don't know why I skipped over it. Broncos signed Evan Ingram yesterday. 2 years, $23 million, $16.5 guaranteed. He turns 31 in September, does Ingram. He's been around now a while. But, Denver, which fortified their defense, which was the strength of the team, the first couple of days of free agency, now beginning to turn their attention to getting some people around Bo Nix.
Ingram had a problem a few years back with a lot of drops.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when he was in Jacksonville, he corrected it immensely.
Agreed.
And if he can continue the improvement he's had over the last 3-4 years, I like the signing anyhow for Denver. I like Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And I think they may still get another tight end, to be honest with you. I could see another running back, another tight end, another wide receiver. And there's a great draft for running backs and tight ends also.
And day two running backs and tight ends.
Yes.
It's very deep. Two tight ends going first round for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a bunch more that are day two picks.
Rob Ellis, he's on top of the Philadelphia sports scene. We'll talk Eagles and a few other things with Rob next. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Paula, have a great walk. Sorry about that, Paula. Yeah, my wife has it bad.
Rob is on.
Great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. Coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show in Lake City, Live Oak, and surrounding areas, in Charlotte County, Venice, and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Ronnie Duncan to join us in about 35 minutes' time to talk all things Detroit. And there are a lot of things to talk about on the Detroit sports scene, as there seemingly always is in Philadelphia as well. And here's what I know. If WIP is airing a game, Rob Ellis is on afterwards. Now, I know sometimes he's on before, but I know he's on afterwards. Rob Ellis, WIP in Philly. Follow Rob on X, RLS Sports, RLS Sports. Rob, it's David and Mark. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Very astute observation. That includes spring training games. Which is
I know.
Yes, as you guys know, there's guys wearing number 98 in the ninth inning who aren't even on a roster that you have. Hey, how about the play that 98 made? Yeah, okay, good. Yep.
Rob, the thing we've always enjoyed being in Florida and having attended, dozens, countless spring training games is in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning while the game's going on with all the players wearing the 70s, 80s, and 90s numbers are the players who are making the jog around the field during the game.
Very true. I enjoy that, and I enjoy the tiki bar in Clearwater at daycare. They're my two favorite elements of spring training baseball. That's for sure.
Very nice. Let's talk a little Eagles before maybe we get back to the Phillies. Do you like what they've done this week? I got to be honest. I was surprised they got rid of Gardner Johnson. He's a good player. That's kind of affordable at that position. He didn't get dealt because of the comments he made about Travis Kelce, did he?
No. I don't think it was that. Here's the thing, and I'm with you. That was the one. Like, you were being unrealistic if you were an Eagles fan and you didn't think Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and some of these other guys were going to be gone. They timed it up perfectly. Their final season of their contract, they had great years. They had great postseasons. I mean, Josh Sweat, if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts, would have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. So all those things made sense. I don't understand the C.J. Gardner-Johnson thing even a little bit. I mean, you had him in 22 when you went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was at this point, and lost to the Chiefs. Played very well, led you in turnovers, took the ball away. You realized after letting him go, letting him sign somewhere else, that you needed him back. You re-signed him at what I thought was a very fair and manageable deal. And then you trade him again. And I can only think, because of everything you just illustrated in terms of the contract, I can only think that it was something else beyond that. I don't think it was the Kelce thing, but to me, it's like you knew what he was. You knew what he was in 22. You thought, you know what, we don't need this headache, let's let him walk. And then you said, you know what, the headache's not that bad. And then you brought him back. So it's on you. Like, shame on you for, again, I guess, if that's what this was all about, because I can't imagine it's anything else. That one makes zero sense to me. The other ones, it's kind of the cost of doing business. I can understand the rest of it. The priority was Bond. They re-signed Bond, who had a great year. They took care of Saquon. Okay, all that stuff's great. But you are losing significant firepower on the defensive side for sure.
There was part of me, Rob, that was just thinking with Vic Fangio and the way that defense gelled throughout the season, how much of this is Vic saying, I don't need this guy, I need this guy. And obviously tough decisions have to be made when you know you're going to lose players. But how much do you think is Fangio's scheme and he's thinking he can do whatever with whichever player?
Yeah, maybe. They do put a lot of weight into what he has to say. I mean, I'll give you guys a great example. Devin White was supposed to be one of the Eagles' big free agent signings last year at the inside linebacker spot. And really it was apparent from the jump in camp that, A, he was nowhere near the player that he was, when he was younger in Tampa, and B, it just didn't fit Vic Fangio's scheme. And Fangio didn't even pretend to have to force him out there, where in years past we may have seen that. He put Bond right out there. And at that point, we're thinking, why are you putting this special teams guy who is an occasional edge rusher at the inside linebacker spot? So he does have a lot of say when it comes to this. That's a great question. I don't know if there was more going on behind the scenes. All I know is when C.J. Gardner-Johnson's out there, he performs at a really high level. And when he plays on teams they typically have success. I mean, the 2 years he was with the Eagles, they went to 1-1-1. When he was with Detroit the year in between, that was when they had their just amazing run and turnaround. But they're always, for a guy who's that good, he seems to be moving quite a bit.
They going to be okay losing Becton? I mean, Stoutland's one of the best offensive line coaches, and they're the best or one of the three best offensive lines. But they going to be okay when they lose Becton?
Yeah, I mean, the Becton thing also, I mean, this is where you give a lot of credit to Stoutland and Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni suggested moving him to guard. Nobody really wants to give Sirianni any credit for anything strategical, but he was the one who suggested that to Stoutland. Yeah, they will miss him for sure. And I don't know that they have a ton of confidence in Tyler Steen, who they took out of Alabama a couple of years ago. Part of the reason, they got some return in the CJ-GJ deal was, and this is going to be another reclamation project, but they bring the offensive lineman in from the Texans, who was a first-round pick, who has not performed. And I think they look at it almost like a Becton thing, where Stoutland can fix anybody. He just waves that magic Stoutland University wand, and all of a sudden the guy can play. So I think they'll feel it a little bit. The good thing is whoever gets that starting guard spot, you think about what they're surrounded by: Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata and Cam Jurgens, who had a great year taking over for Jason Kelsey, and Landon Dickerson, who's a Pro Bowler as well. So the other parts are so good that sometimes you can make up for a little bit of a struggle if that's the case.
Let's talk Phillies. The Mets have had kind of a rough spring training with injuries. The Phillies, obviously, we know are going to contend for that division. How has spring gone? How have they been injury-wise? Just health looking ahead to the season.
And you guys will appreciate this, and you won't. It's going to take you back a little bit because it's not very Philadelphia-esque, but it's a weird vibe with the Phillies in the city. I think some of it is everybody's still floating on the Eagles cloud. It's only been a month plus, whatever. So I think it's some of that where they haven't really set their sights yet on the Phillies. But I think there's more optimism nationally than there is locally for this team. I think nationally people are able to step away a little bit and say, oh my gosh, might have the deepest rotation in baseball, adding Luzardo. Have a lineup that potentially could do a lot of things. Whereas locally, and you know how this is when you're a sports fan, I think it's sad when you get to this point, but Phillies fans, a lot of them are in talk to me in the playoffs mode, because you've been there, you won 94 games, you've had good seasons, but you've come up small in the postseason now 3 times. So I think there's a lot more optimism. Like I was looking at some of I think it was the MLB Network had the Phillies 4th, or in terms of a lineup or something like that. I think the Phillies are actually the team to beat in the NL East. Atlanta's lost some parts. The Mets went on an unbelievable run, but I still don't love the Mets pitching necessarily. I think it's going to be really tight. Like I think you could have 3 teams coming out of the East in the playoffs. I don't love the Central necessarily, but I think you could have 3 coming out of the East. The biggest question for the Phillies guys, they've preached this from the jump. It's approach. It's using all field. It's hitting line drives. It's hitting with 2 strikes, not just trying to pull everything and hit home runs. And the question is, can 30-something-year-old hitters who have had a lot of success and have big contracts stay true to that approach? That's the biggest thing for this Philly season by far.
Rob, for top 5 team in baseball, they have one of the 5 worst outfields in baseball. I mean, they need an outfielder. Can't they trade a pitcher for an everyday outfielder?
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I mean, with what's going on with the Yankees, I'm on the horn with them, and I'm trying to offer up somebody from a pitching standpoint. I don't love the outfield situation. Castellanos, to his credit, was probably their most consistent hitter over the second half of the season and actually hit pretty decent in the Mets series. He was one of the few. But he's up and down. He's all over the place. You could have a month where he looks like the best hitter in baseball and a month where he looks like the worst. Center field is a major question mark. And what they're trying to do in center and left, guys, in center, they want it to be Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh has not hit left-handers his entire career. Left field, they wanted to be Max Kepler, who played his whole career in Minnesota. In right field, and rarely ever faced left-handers. So, yeah, what they did in the offseason, Dave Dombrowski basically said, all right, big boys, you need to play like big boys, and we're going to count on you and lean into this. They didn't make any real moves, any significant moves, 1 through 8. They brought Luzardo over, but that was it. So, yeah, I mean, they're leaving themselves open to a lot of criticism if the outfield is bad this year. And right now, it is incredibly, let's say, unproven.
Well, and the other part to me, are they set at closer? Because that looks unproven as well. As good as the starting pitching is, I worry about their bullpen.
Here's my guess. I think I'll throw two names at you that I think could emerge here. Orion Kerkering, one of the great names in baseball. Orion is his first name. It's a great name. He's 23 years old at this point, and he's got unbelievable stuff. He's got closer stuff, really nasty, hard, biting kind of stuff with a heater. He could emerge to me if he can kind of gain that maturity. He could emerge as the closer. The other name to watch out for, and you guys remember him from his Blue Jays days, is Jordan Romano. He is a guy, when healthy, who's really good. He took a 1-year sort of prove it deal that he's healthy to look like he's the guy again. I think they're the two names that you watch on the back end of the bullpen. But right now, no, there isn't. What they've done for the most part, other than 2 years ago when Craig Kimbrell kind of emerged and then fell apart in the playoffs, but they've done the sort of analytical approach of, hey, if the best hitters in this team's lineup are coming up in the eighth, we're throwing our best guy at them. That's the approach they've taken. I'd prefer a traditional closer. Maybe it's just because I'm old school. But, yeah, that's a little bit unproven now as well.
Rob, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. And I was only half joking. If it's a game, you're on afterwards. And like you said, now including spring training. I mean, 3:30 in the afternoon. It's Rob Ellis time.
That's right, guys. All right. Well, listen, you guys have a great rest of your week. It's always a blast being on you. Thank you.
Rob Ellis, WIP, 94 WIP in Philadelphia. Follow him on X, RLS Sports, RLS Sports. I know we didn't bring it up, but do you know this year's 50 years since the Flyers last won the Stanley Cup?
I almost asked the question because the Sixers are talked about in Philly because they've had so many storylines with Embiid. It's a constant thing.
Right, it's a soap opera, right?
It really is.
Right.
But the Flyers, at one time, I don't know if they were the pride of Philadelphia, but I always, growing up, thought of Philly as the Flyers and a hockey town. And I love Dr. J, but the Broad Street Bullies and the reputation they had and what they did for that city. And then they had Lindros, and they had some really good teams in the 90s. The most known commodity on their hockey teams, their mascot.
Who failed as a mascot and then had a comeback. And we're talking about Gritty.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or NolanAgency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
He loves those Blades games, baby Jules. They were playing on last night was Wednesday. Always can tell when the Blades play by how the studio's set up in the morning, because they obviously aired it last night.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Rob Ellis just joined us. He was talking the Philly sports scene. Ronnie Duncan's going to join us in a little more than 15 minutes from now. We'll talk the Detroit sports scene. All our guests on Miller and Moulton join us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Our poll question, and Mark, you summed it up well in which you said it's probably the wordiest question we've ever had. Simple answers, a wordy question, though. Colin Morikawa, who finished second last week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, top 10 golfer in the world, might even be top 5. He did not talk to the media afterwards. And was it yesterday or the day before when asked, hey, what the heck? He said, yeah, I don't know you guys anything. I don't know anybody anything. Okay, well, do you agree?
And we just asked, do players owe the media interviews? And right now, 58% of you say yes. That number started out a lot higher. It has been steadily decreasing throughout the show.
I predicted no would win. That the unpopularity of, quote, the media, unquote, that no will win. I think no will get 60. I mean, that's in such low regard the media has held in. And even if you try to say, hey, even if we can't suck enough, we are the conduit to you, the fans. Don't you want to hear from? Don't you need to hear from? Okay. And most of you just go, yeah, I hate you guys more than I like me.
And as we've explained further, particularly when it comes to golf, whether or not Morikawa thinks he owes anyone anything, he definitely owes the sponsors something. They're flipping the bills.
And the bills are getting bigger because you
and
guys
bigger
are paying
and
for
bigger,
more.
particularly when you're talking about the elevated events where they have asked the MasterCards of the world to spend a lot more money to sponsor these tournaments.
And what was last week's event, Mark? An elevated event. The winner got $4 million. Morikawa for finishing second got 2.2. So it's our question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. We've not talked about this in a while. I don't know if we'll have a guest on tomorrow or if we're going to wait till next week to talk about this. But are you paying attention to this whole house settlement deal for college athletics?
Sparingly.
This is complicated.
It's hard to get a grasp on.
And you and I have been on top of this story for 2 years before 99% of the national media started talking about this story. And I'm having a hard time figuring out what their ultimate solution is. And I got to be honest, Mark, I don't see how it holds up in court. I mean, they can't be employees, okay? Yet we're going to limit how much they can make. Don't you need a salary cap for that? I mean, don't you have to be an employee to limit someone?
And yesterday we talked about Darren Heitner had put out a post on X. It was Utah that basically is putting their own rules in on NIL that schools can pay directly, no matter what the House committee says. So we have states, we have federal discussions going on, and no one seems to know exactly how this is going to end.
Also, so there's the $21 million that you all have agreed upon that teams can distribute however they want to distribute it. And most people think 15 of the 21 is going to go to most Power 4 football programs. Okay. So is that all the money that's allowed? Or is that the money that you guys are contributing and then all the $100 handshakes and everything? If you know what I'm getting at, Mark. Is that is this the salary cap? Only you can add to the salary cap if your boosters are richer than mine.
That certainly seems to be, that's the way I've read it, is that there's a pool of money from the school, but yet NIL can still flourish.
I mean, there's things like a clearinghouse. They've apparently they're going to be hiring a third party to investigate wrongdoing. I mean, listen, we joked that the NCAA had 7 investigators, and their idea of trying to track down what's wrong with college athletics was reading, who was it? Was it Michael Robinson?
Charles Robinson.
Charles Robinson, right, from Yahoo.
Right.
Okay, that reading what he was writing and then flying to where it is he had just been. Well, we got to do some investigation. Charles Robinson uncovered some more stuff. Okay, so if you thought the NCAA wasn't keeping track effectively before, you really think this third-party group? What's the incentive of the third-party group to heavily investigate college athletics?
What I find the most interesting about this, because you and I think the NCAA at best is an event planner, and not even a good event planner.
No.
They're just an event planner.
That's it.
I worked for companies that were event planners. They should farm this out. Trust me. But when the NCAA decides that we need to fix our problems with NIL and they go to the government for help, as if that was going to have public sentiment turned to their side.
One other thing I find interesting. So all this talk, you've got hearings before Congress, you've got athletic directors and commissioners who have been brought in to testify.
Coaches. But
right.
Now, I don't think they brought in one athlete, David.
I don't know that they have either.
I don't think they brought in one athlete.
And much like how the political parties operate today, where they all hand out their talking points, okay, sure enough, all these folks are coming. They're saying the exact same thing. Huh, that's amazing. Really? Would you guys maybe get something emailed to you? But throughout all of this, one of the many questions that we have is, so does Title IX have anything to do with this? Because, we got 21 million here. You're going to give 15 of it to football, and you're going to give, 4 of it to men's basketball, $1 million to women's basketball, and then spread out the other $1 million amongst the other 18 sports. I mean, I don't know. That seems to be a violation of Title IX, and they're all going forward as if Title IX doesn't apply anymore. Well, I don't know. There were 3 people, Mark, yesterday who were involved in the U.S. Department of Education who said, I don't know, the way I read things, Title IX should apply to all NIL and athlete revenue payments. Well, that's a problem.
Wait a minute. We still have a Department of Education?
Well, I did say 3 former members.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed
the Department of Education.
The former part.
Just said, I don't know, the way we understand the law and how we read it, we see this as a problem.
That's where NIL being separate kind of skirted Title IX. The players were getting their own money, but once the university starts paying, we've wondered for a while how this was going to work.
So, I don't know. It's a mess. But supposedly it could go into effect as early as April 7th. I mean, that's 3 weeks from Monday? How is this going to pass muster in court? You're doing the negotiating on behalf of the athletes without the athletes having a say at all? Wait, so So the athletes who right now have all the leverage and all the hand, you're going to take that all away from them, and that you're not going to end up in court?
Where you've lost every single time.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Lucifer, we've talked about that topic twice before on this show in the last year. Okay. And we're not okay with most of what's gone down. We're not. But also, we haven't had it in the Olympics yet. We brought it up last year, by the way, when there was the LPGA qualifying for the U.S. Women's Open, and a transgender athlete missed it by a shot. And we talked about it at length. So we have brought it up. But we do try to stay away from topics that are politically polarizing because, and this is not, I don't mean it as disparaging our audience. It's just a sign of the times. If you bring up a politically polarizing topic, people don't react well to it because they're on one side of it or the other. And if they perceive you as not on their side, then you suck and I'm done with you. We have lost the ability to agree to disagree. It's why we made the decision a long time ago to stay away as much as humanly possible from issues that were politically polarizing. The other thing, Lucifer, is we agree with you on this topic. Get over it. And have said so on the show, on air.
Not to mention, it's a talking point for one side. There are so few people that qualify for that it's ridiculous to bring up.
Right. Now, we think one party is entirely in the wrong about that issue. Okay, but I mean, does it affect 200 people in a country of 330 million? All right. Well, and robes, that's something that we found a few years ago, that people during the whole COVID thing, that people were flocking to sports in part because it wasn't politics. Yeah, so do I, Adam.
Ronnie's on.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, when the bonus hour will be heard in the 239 and the 904. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It's a pleasure to welcome back Ronnie Duncan on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You still go by Ronnie Slam?
Ronnie Slam, that's always going to be the way it was. I know I can't dunk anymore, but I'm still Ronnie Slam.
Follow Ronnie Duncan on X at Ronnie IE Slam. Ronnie Slam.
Ronnie, obviously we brought you on to talk all things Detroit. Let's start with the Lions, who have become the most popular team in the city in the last couple of years with what they've done. But the coaching drain, losing both coordinators. Obviously, they have to revamp the defense. When you look at what they've done from an offseason standpoint, do you like it?
I do, because of the simple fact that, let's face it, fellas, if you've got talent, you can coach the talent. The talent is there. If you look at what they've done during free agency, you're probably saying, wait a minute. All we did was get DJ. That's not enough. Well, then it is, because you let Colton Davis go. You bring in, of course, a guy who is going to be there, has played in just about every game he started, and that's what you need, productivity. So you're going to strengthen that. And then you say to yourself, well, we didn't do much as far as free agency is concerned. It is true Marcus Davenport is coming back. It is true Marcus Davenport, at defensive end, was hurt most of the season, but they like what they see in him. But I do believe in Brad Holmes. We can talk about Dan Campbell all we want, but let's face it, Brad Holmes has done an outstanding job. What he's going to do is probably go right back to a filter that he's very familiar with. Remember, Brad Holmes played his college football at North Carolina A&T, HBCU, historically black college and university. He's going to find somebody within that draft, within that free agent signing period of college players, that's going to blow everybody's mind a year or 2 years from now, or might even immediately. There's always a diamond in the rough, and that group of players from those institutions, if anyone can find one, it's going to be Brad Holmes, and he's done it before. Remember, nobody was really thinking about James Houston out of Jackson State, played for Deion Sanders. He came in his rookie year, he was only one sack off from Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, he was a one-trick pony, but guess what? It took the league 3 years to figure it out. Brad can find him again.
Well, it's tough to argue that many organizations have done a better job than the Lions over the last 3 years. Ronnie, do they still have enough money to now pluck a few players from the second free agent tier, or are they done spending really until the draft?
What looking for is to find someone that can do something on the pass rush. Look, Zuri Smith, they let him go. They said, hey, thank you so much. You were great, but we need a little bit more. And they're going to do that. Remember, Aiden Hutchinson is going to come back. He's not going to be at 100%. But maybe by midseason, we will start seeing glimpses of what this kid was and what he will continue to be. Was I disappointed that we didn't go out to Boza? Was I disappointed that there's a young man just 2.5 hours away who said he wanted to play for a championship and he didn't think everything could be? It's amazing. Some things talk, but the other things walk. And I'm talking about the young man with the Cleveland Browns who just signed that big contract. And for a while there, folks here in this city were saying, he could possibly be with us, one of the best to ever play the game. We're not even going to mention his name because we just don't want to get excited. But we have to get more pass rushing. And the other thing is this. The defensive secondary, Terrion Arnold, has got to grow up. Now, here's where I think there's a possibility, and no one's talking about it. If you were to ask some of the top running backs in the NFL, who is the number one running back, everyone will say Saquon Barkley. But when you take Saquon Barkley out of the equation and you come up with Derrick Henry, guess who they say is number two? Oh, the young man who ran for 21 touchdowns. Both catching as well as taking the ball and rushing. The man who ran for over 1,400 yards. Yes, no one wants to talk about the success story that Gibbs is. Gibbs is so successful when you look at the numbers. So here's what I do. I say, Dave Montgomery, you're a little reckless with the ball. You run with passion. You run with the grit. But maybe I can get something for you. I'll go out and get somebody else and keep Craig Reynolds, who they just re-signed yesterday.
How much pressure, in your estimation, is there on Jared Goff? Because he played the worst game of the year in the playoff game and now losing Ben Johnson. I think it adds pressure to the quarterback. Do you?
I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the mere fact that there's still that big question mark of Hendon Hooker, the mere fact that we had to go in and get a high school coach who, by the way, had retired from the NFL, and then all of a sudden is going to be there in the playoffs just in case Jared Goff goes out. I know it's crazy. I slept about it. I thought about it all night long. I'm saying, do I get on this show and tell the fellas, why not invest in Aaron Rodgers? Hey, where could you go wrong? One thing is that if I know Aaron Rodgers is behind me, I don't think I'm going to be a Jared Goff throwing 4 picks in a game and having 5 total turnovers and losing a game that I should have won.
Do they need, though, to get a better backup? Because when Goff had to be replaced,
Hooker's not the answer.
Well, exactly. That, I mean,
Aaron Rodgers. Why
Teddy,
not?
Well, I don't think Rodgers will go somewhere.
The one thing Aaron wants is to start. But I guarantee you the next thing Aaron wants is an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl again. And he knows that Jared Goff, he could put pressure on Goff, the kind of pressure that could eventually have him out there playing in games. It's happened in the NFL before. No, he's not a Nick Foles. He's way better. But hey, man, better security makes for better endings when you need them the most.
Ronnie Duncan, long time outstanding Detroit sportscaster. You can follow him on X at Ronnie IE Slam. Ronnie Slam.
There was a long while as a proud Michigander that there was nothing to look forward to from the pro sports teams in Detroit.
I already know where you're going. Go ahead.
And now it's starting to know. I'm curious because I think the Lions are clearly number one with what the Pistons have done this year. There was a time,
I knew that's where you were going.
Well, it was hockey town for a while.
Before last 17 years before that, you put them together. You're like, well, I guess we won't get that total. No, we might get the total of what they've done in the last 3 years. The Pistons are the team that nobody wants to see, and those opening rounds of the playoffs right now, they're seeded number 6. They could get as high as number 4 because of the logjam. Consider the mere fact that everyone is afraid of Cleveland. You just don't know what you're going to get. Yes, they've won 54 games. Yes, they've only lost 10. However, when you look at the Pistons and you look at what J.D. Bickerstaff has done with this team, it's incredible. I'm going to be honest with you. You take Steph Curry out of the equation. If I had a 3-point competition, Malik Beasley, can you play for me? And then Kate Cunningham. I'm going to be honest with you. I looked at him. I said, man, he doesn't play with a pace. No, he plays at his pace. Then you look at the Thompson kid. He's playing well. There are people doing what they need to do. I thought Tobias Harris was basically just cashing it in. Coming here, hey, you know what? The road to retirement is right out of not out of Philadelphia, but out of Detroit. Then when you look at Tim Hardaway Jr., he's not as consistent, but they're still getting movement. And thankfully, we have to sit down and say, well, Troy Weaver, we're glad you're not here, and thank God for Trajan Langdon and the Duke Syndicate that is now where? In Detroit, Michigan.
Need to avoid the Knicks in the first round, though. Need to get Milwaukee or Indiana, I think, and then they could maybe go on a little bit of a run. Are there
high ankle sprain?
I'm sorry, what?
New York Knicks. Have you ever had a high ankle sprain?
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying the point guard. Well, he's got a month, though.
We're getting around playoff time. And when you can't get that lift, you can't get that explosiveness. Look, everybody in this league can play us about minutes. Every team in this league that's in the playoffs could do something because it's whether you're hot. You guys have experienced it before. Nobody wanted to 3 years ago. They were thankful to the dear Lord that the Detroit Lions never made the playoffs because they were the hottest team in the NFL. That's a problem. Washington, one of the hottest teams, but Philadelphia was a little bit hotter, and now that's why we have a champion called the Philadelphia Eagles. But getting back to basketball, I think is going to be very, very interesting to see how the Pistons play out these last few games. And when they play them, their strength of schedule is right up there to say, we're playoff ready. Put it this way, they are not afraid of anybody anymore.
Are the Tigers legit, or did they just have a really tremendous 50-game run?
Man, they had a tremendous 50 games. I'm looking back and I'm like, Erica Baidu, I hope he never sees a Tigers uniform again. One of the most pitiful players I've ever seen before. You know, Akil Badu. I call him Erica Baidu, but Akil Badu. But when you take him out of that lineup, look at what happened. All of a sudden, people started playing. This is the key that a lot of people don't ever consider when you speak of the Detroit Tigers. Not even half of the players, not even 30% of their players at that particular time had over 1,000 major league at-bats. Experience is the key in all of that. And then all of a sudden you see Torkelson, you see Spencer, you see all of these guys playing well. And Scooble, let's face it, he's one of the best pitchers out there. Yes, he won the Cy Young. If we can continue to win. They take on, of course, the New York Yankees today at 104 down in Florida. But look at what they are. They're 9-8. 9-8 as we currently stand. Yes, it's only about exhibition play, but you get a chance to work on things that you just don't have that time to do when you're going to be up here in Detroit. Look, they have to get off to a fast start. They cannot rely on what we did last year. Janet Jackson said it best. What have you done for me lately? They have to win, and they turned the city on fire because they were the hottest thing in the American League playoffs, and it took some real smoke to get them out.
Well, and there's no doubt they have Scooble is going to have to return at near the same level, but the rest of the rotation worries me, and I know they've got a prospect that they're going to bring up. Hopefully that will help because it was a lot of hodgepodge with the pitching.
And then at the same time, you've got to look at management. They are committed to changing, and look what they did last season. I mean, there were some people that we lost. I mean, hey, the Dodgers were happy to get what we were throwing out, but who knows? Sometimes you can come back home. Dorothy did it in The Wizard of Oz. So hopefully we can get somebody else to come back here and maybe finish their career. It's not a done deal, but they're better than most people expect. Put it this way. It wasn't a disappointment that folks in Baltimore had with the Orioles. It was the unexpectations of a joy and excitement and winning that people in Detroit and the Motor City got to experience.
Ronnie Duncan, Ronnie Slam, legendary Detroit sportscaster.
And one more thing. Remember, all you got to do is look at the standings and the wild cards. And the Red Wings are what? 2 points out.
Oh, come on now.
I need you to play more, okay? Dylan, come on now. I need you to do your thing. I need them to win too. But
I hope they make a run.
They keep changing coaches, but the man who probably needs to be changed the most is the guy who was the player, and everyone, he's never going to skate up again. But Eisenman, maybe there needs to be a change at the head of the decision-making that is taking place.
I disagree wholeheartedly, Ronnie. I disagree wholeheartedly. The young players are up.
I mean, when he got 6, so it's great to see stuff like that happen. But I mean, 2019, but still, it's great to see stuff like that happen once again.
I hope they make the playoffs. They've got the young guys up.
Get those 2 points and get within that wild card breach right there in the NHL. They're in the playoffs as well.
Ronnie Duncan. Kind enough to join us once again. Ronnie, all the best. Hopefully we can hook up around the draft.
Hey, look, hopefully we can you can have us on, because we do something that's right down there in the area of Florida. Should have thought about you guys earlier. I'm the voice of the XFC. We do a situation where we have young guns, and we've got our big pay-per-view show, which is going to be March 28th, the Extreme One Arena, Extreme Fighting Championships. You can tune in, Triller TV, American Armed Forces TV, or your favorite distributor that does pay-per-view. Look, I know there's UFC. We're not UFC, but we do very, very well, and we've got a great main event with Kenneth the Boss Cross. So tune on in. That's the 28th. I had to get that in. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thanks, Ronnie. Be good.
All right, take care.
Ronnie Duncan.
Start trying to fire Iserman on me.
Yeah, he's ready for change.
I'm not, and here's why. Just give me 30 seconds.
Go.
One, the trade market this year, because Detroit they thought they could trade. They didn't have what it took to get Cousins from Buffalo. The teams overpaid. Maybe this was the year to sit back. They've brought all their young guys up. Their young guys are playing well. They are now getting bottom six guys to contribute, which they never did before. Wish they would have made a move for a player, but I'm not blaming this on Eisman, because the young guys are finally starting to come, and the cupboard was empty when he got there. Ken Holland didn't know what he was doing as a general manager when the salary cap came into effect.
Okay, you and I are assuming they're going to miss the playoffs by anywhere from 1 to 4 points. What is the one thing then they need for next year? Is it a goalie?
A defenseman. The goalies in the system are really good. They need another defenseman. They need a top 4 defenseman.
Okay.
Mo Sider's a really good player. Looks like this Evanson kid's a good player. They need a top 4 defenseman.
Okay. All right. Would you have done the deal that the Panthers did, by the way, with Chicago for Seth Jones? A first-round pick and a good NHL caliber goalie.
It would have been tempting. There's no doubt.
$8 million price tag, though.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it was a big number. And he's got, 4+ years still left on it? That was a big, grab. So, all right. Rob Ellis, Philadelphia. Ronnie Duncan, Detroit. Covered a lot of ground that hour.
Miss any of it? Go to millerandmoulton.com or anywhere else that you download your podcast to catch up on what you missed, and you can vote on our poll question. Colin Morikawa said he didn't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys. Do players owe the media interviews? American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Go Raiders. Here's my only question to you, and I have no problem with your opinion on this, but no, it's not contractual to talk to the media. But how else do the fans get to know what the player says unless they talk to the media? Because he's not going to call you on the phone, Go Raiders. We're just a conduit for you. And when I say we, the media, I hate even including myself in that. I'm a talk show host. I'm not the media. I'm here to entertain. Or at least attempt to.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 239 and the 904. Thanks for taking us in on this Thursday. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show tomorrow. Get his thoughts on the first week of free agency. The whole winners, losers, who did he like, who's he got questions about, et cetera, et cetera. So apparently Russell Wilson was in Pittsburgh yesterday and is going to be with the Giants today, or Pittsburgh today, the Giants tomorrow, but I think it's Pittsburgh yesterday, Giants today.
Thought the Browns were on his list as well, or did he already talk to them?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. It was Cleveland, not Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay, I thought it was
right.
okay.
So he was in Cleveland yesterday. Now he's going to be with the Giants today. Do you think a team needs to say to either Rodgers or Russell Wilson, listen, I need a decision? Or, quite frankly, no, I don't need a decision. I got the draft coming up in, what is it? 6 weeks? I'm good. Take your time.
It would be great if you could get them to make a decision. If I were the Giants or if I were Pittsburgh and brought them in, I would try to get them to make a decision on the spot. I don't want to play a waiting game. I've got to figure out, this is the quarterback position. The Giants, I understand a little bit more because I think they're going to draft a quarterback. The Browns may draft a quarterback.
I'll tell you what, though, the Giants' price, if reports are true and Cam Ward's the guy they want, they have to go to 1 to be assured of getting him. Well, that means the price keeps going up, doesn't it? And besides, Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback. Reports a couple days ago that they'd signed Mac Jones turned out to be wrong. Mac Jones signed with the Niners last night. Not that we're thinking Mac Jones is the answer at quarterback, but if they were going to just let Will Levis and Mac Jones battle it out this year because they don't like their college choices. Well, right now they're stuck with year 3 of Will Levis. That'll get a regime fired.
Yeah, I don't understand Tennessee not wanting to take Cam Ward. I really don't. I don't know what it is that they still see in Will Levis that makes them believe that they can turn this guy into a quarterback unless it's just about saving face from drafting a guy who I don't think can play in the league.
Is there a move out there that we're not seeing? Like, let's face it, none of us a week ago today saw Geno Smith being traded from Seattle to anywhere. Never mind Vegas. Oh, okay. Well, then does that take Shedeur Sanders off the who Raiders are going to draft at 6 overall list? So now does he fall to Jets at 9, Jets at 7, Saints at 9? But now back to Tennessee. They haven't signed a quarterback. Now, Mark, either way, either decision can get you fired. You take Cam Ward, and a lot of times you're taking him for the next guy. You don't take Cam Ward, oof.
You're packing your boxes for the next guy.
Will
if
Levis
he can play at all.
Will Levis is under contract. I think Mason Rudolph is technically a free agent. I think. So, oof. How could they not be drafting a quarterback, right?
It seems impossible for me. Unless they just absolutely hate both quarterbacks, how could you not take one if you're Tennessee? I'm serious.
Well, I do think you could, if you like Shedeur Sanders, you could trade down with the Giants and take him at 3. But now, Cleveland's had a very aggressive attitude, though, about seemingly moving on from Deshaun Watson. What? The Browns are being linked with the Falcons for Kirk Cousins. The Browns flew in Russell Wilson yesterday. Now, I know Deshaun can't play this year because of his Achilles injury. Do we think Deshaun Watson's ever playing for the Browns again? Come on.
Let me just ask a follow-up on that one, because I think we all believe the answer is no. Does Deshaun Watson ever play in the league again? That would be my follow-up question to that. Or is he done? The headaches, look, if they get rid of him, let's just say he comes back from the Achilles, they make him ride the pine, or they just cut him next year, which with the restructuring they done would be rich, because they could have been out of this after next year. But they cut him. Who would sign him?
Well, no one would sign him to be a number one.
No, but who would sign that to be a backup with the baggage that goes along with it?
No, I understand. But, you know, then you start asking the question, is he one of the 64 best quarterbacks in the league?
And I think the answer might be no.
Tough to argue.
Gardner Minshew or Deshaun Watson?
Oh, come on. That's not even of course I would take Minshew. Please.
Zach Wilson or Deshaun Watson?
Just so you know, Deshaun Watson, if the Browns move off of him next year, the cap hits $81.7 million. Now, I don't know if you can, cut that in half and make it, 40 one year and 40 the next. But also right now, because they've restructured his deal, he's a $54 million cap hit in 2027 when he's technically not even under contract. He's an $18 million cap hit in 2028, and he's a $9 million cap hit in 2029.
Go Guardians, go Cavs. All right, for all you Cleveland fans, something. My goodness.
Yeah. How can they make one of the two worst trades in NFL history worse? They've managed to do it.
They really have. They restructured him, not once, but twice, right?
Yeah.
Twice.
Uh-huh.
After signing him to that ridiculous contract. A comedy of errors in that front office.
And then he blows out his Achilles again, and he'll miss all of this coming season. Wow. But, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I mean, if you're one of these teams that doesn't have a quarterback, don't you do the hey, we can't let you get on the plane? Tell us right now, what will it take? What would it take to do a deal? I mean, don't you work that out with the agent and say, listen, come and be prepared to sign a contract. Don't
100%.
Because if we ask you, what do you need? And you tell us and we agree, then we're signing a contract. And if you get up to leave, we're never calling you again.
And I'm not sure with Russ I would even bother with that. Like, I'm not interested in Russ.
If you're Cleveland?
I mean, I guess. I don't think he can play anymore. Like, I don't think he's good enough to be a starting quarterback in the league.
Well, but they let Jameis reach free agency. I mean, even if they come back and they call Jameis or Russell Wilson.
Wow.
I love Jameis, but Jameis will throw the ball to the other team at least once a game on average.
Yes, he will.
And Russ, for the most part, doesn't do that.
He'll just get sacked a few more times.
He will.
But he doesn't give the ball away as much as Jameis. Sure, I guess if I'm Cleveland, I'd consider it. But with
remember,
money they're spending in the room already, What do you have to spend to get Russ?
Well, but remember, Cleveland needs a starting quarterback. The Giants need a starting quarterback. We think Tennessee needs a starting quarterback. The options before the draft are pretty bleak.
And the options at the draft aren't great unless you're drafting early, because there's seemingly only two guys that people think are legit first-round quarterbacks. Dart's a guy that's going to maybe get into the first round, but not worthy sometimes of a first-round grade.
I have to admit, I'm not seeing Dart the further we get away from the Senior Bowl. I'm not seeing Dart in many mock draft first rounds anymore. Now, could a pro workout get everybody foaming at the mouth again? But I'm not seeing anybody with Jackson Dart in the first round right now. Not even trading in the high 20s, low 30s.
So maybe that's your guy on day 2. If you're Cleveland, if you're the Giants, if you're Tennessee.
Well, also, don't the Browns have the first choice on day 2?
They do. They do. It's Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants in the first round, Cleveland, Giants, Tennessee in the second round. And then Giants, Kansas City, who has Tennessee's pick, and Cleveland in the third round.
And the Chiefs have that pick because of the trade they made last year for the corner who went to the Titans.
So that's how the beginnings of the rounds will go. And, can you play that game of poker if you're Cleveland and hope you can get a quarterback in the second round?
Well, I mean, if you're sitting with 33, once you get to about 28, 29, there's not much you got to give up. If you decide not to wait till Friday, you're like, hell, let's just do this now.
So we'll see. Draft still, 6 weeks away from the draft?
I think 6 weeks today is the draft.
A week away from the full tournament.
And what are we, 4 weeks from the Masters?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of the TPC and the players, Jason Day withdrew this morning due to illness. He had actually had some moments so far this golf season. Former major champion. Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability.
Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 seconds.
Patriots are releasing their center, David Andrews.
Yeah, debate about whether he's going to retire, right?
He's probably going to retire. And then I thought I saw the Bucks signed a corner, and I can't find it. Let's search. Just more of a backup. Vildor, who was with the Lions. So, give me a couple seconds here. Have you seen the story about the baseball hats?
Yes.
I mean, can baseball get anything right with their uniforms?
I saw Sampson do like a 2.5-minute thing on social media yesterday in which he was explaining to Le Batard. He goes, "Can I explain to you the process involved, okay, in new clothing?" He goes, "It's mind-boggling that this could happen."
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, broadcasting live from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters in Naples. Just keeping it real.
Good to see my pick for the tournament. Doubled his second hole and bogeyed his third, and Hideki Matsuyama's 3 over after 3.
I thought I saw Michael Kim went off the back and birdied his first hole.
I was looking for you. Right now, Jordan Spieth is your early leader after birdieing 10 and eagling the par 5 11th. He is 3 under through 2 holes of play, and he is the early leader on the course. Your guy, Michael Kim, did make an early birdie, but he made a bogey on 12. He is even through 4. Early play going on at the Players.
Spieth rested because he didn't get an invite into the Arnold Palmer Invitational last week. And he was a little snarky about it. Ricky Fowler seemed to be okay with it, saying, "Hey, it's my fault. I didn't play well." Spieth was like, "Yeah, I was injured, so I should have played better injured." I mean, he was a little annoyed that he didn't come out and say it, but he's basically saying, "Come on, guys, I'm Jordan Spieth. Seriously?"
Yeah, what have you done for me lately, Jordan? Here's an idea. You have 14 holes that are not par 3s. Try hitting the fairway on 7 or 8 of them. That's all.
So he's had a couple good finishes so far this year, coming back from the wrist surgery. We'll see how he does at the Players. He's your early leader.
He's a tough guy for me to root for.
Really? Because he's terrific television. He's all over
He
the
is
place.
great television. He just annoys me.
He can get up and down from a tree. Okay. I mean, he's a poor man's Phil. He does the commentary while talking his way around the course.
Don't know what to tell you.
Huh. Okay.
Privileged, entitled look drives me nuts.
Gotcha. Needs what? The PGA for the career Grand Slam?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had the Masters and U.S. Open back-to-back in 2015 and added that Open Championship. And then we'll see if he can ever win the PGA to get the career slam.
So last year, baseball had new uniforms throughout the sport.
Yep.
And I mean, the fans loved them. And by loved them, they hated them. And the players, however, even though the fans hated them, the players loved them. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the players hated them even more. You could see through the pants. The lettering on the names of the jerseys was so much smaller than it had been in the past that it was difficult to even read the names on there. It was a colossal failure.
Yes.
Colossal failure.
Yep.
Baseball's at it again. Do you see the story about the hats?
Some of these hats are hysterical.
So, New Era designed hats, and they were put on the MLB's official online store earlier this week. The Texas Rangers hat was removed almost immediately because it spelled out a vulgar word in Spanish.
Did you see the A's hat?
The A's hat.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It spelled out ass.
The Astros hat looked like ASHOS.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Did you see the Angels hat?
I did.
Yep. Take the G out, add
A. So it's ANAELS.
Right. How would you try to pronounce that? As the anals, maybe?
Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh.
I'm not going to try to say what the Astros hat spells out because I can't say it on the air.
Correct. No. It wasn't just the Texas Rangers hat. Okay. I mean, somebody could have just claimed, hey, not familiar with Spanish. I didn't know, even though,
baseball, not familiar with Spanish.
Well, I'm just saying someone involved could just say, hey, I didn't know the translation. Okay. Our bad. But it's not the only one. And in fact, I would argue it's not the worst one.
Now, people who were able to get the Rangers hat with the vulgar word in Spanish on it have been selling them on the secondary market. 6 have sold on eBay with prices ranging from $200 to $1,000 for the hat that was originally listed for them at $45. Which maybe I'm really old, but $45 for a hat seems high.
It does to me as well. 2 other off the beaten path stories. One involves baseball. Mark, yesterday, spring training, Giants and the A's played. The announcers for the Giants were Dwayne Kuiper and John Miller. And John Miller apologized in the first inning and said, I'm going to call them Oakland out of habit, probably 20 times. Please forgive me. I'm not intentionally trying to do it. And he then proceeded throughout the course of the game to inadvertently, I think he made it into the 3rd or 4th inning before he said it the first time and what have you. And Kuiper then started having fun with him and said, hey, just so you know, you said Oakland again, on air. And John's like, oh, man, I knew I was going to do it. Did you hear what Kuiper said as they went to break at the end of the 5th inning? Ground ball to third, fields it cleanly, throws it across the first in time. We've played 5. It's the Giants 3, and the team that should still be in Oakland won. It's outstanding. So the other cute thing that happened yesterday. First off, if you remember this, I think it will surprise you how long ago it was. Do you remember when Maurice Cheeks was the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers?
Okay, yeah.
I think he was the head coach, or maybe he was the top assistant, and the young girl was singing the anthem in Portland.
Right.
And she
forgot the words.
And she's panicking. And Maurice Cheeks walked over, put his arm around her, and they did it together.
Yep.
Saved the anthem,
Just a great moment.
Yes. Of humanity. Well, that young girl's a 35-year-old woman now, because that was in 2003.
Wow.
I know. And Maurice Cheeks is part of the Knicks staff. And they were in Portland. And so the Blazers called up the young lady, found her, and said, hey, want to recreate the anthem with Mo Cheeks? And so they did the anthem last night before the Knicks Blazers game.
Ah, that's great stuff right there. That really is. Awesome. Awesome stuff.
But, Mark, I knew you'd appreciate it. And we go to the 5th. Giants 3, and the team that should still be in Oakland won.
The Sacramento Aths.
Right. Uh-huh.
That David Sampson still doesn't believe end up in Vegas.
No. He still, I think, got his money on not Vegas.
Who will hold longer? Colin Cowherd thinking Baker Mayfield's not a starting quarterback, or David Sampson thinking that they will never be the Las Vegas Aths. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap? It's all still ahead on Miller and Moulton.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I want Wake Forest to beat North Carolina by 20 today. We're on 98.1. I don't know if it was just a blip, but I went out to my car in the break and everything's working fine.
Oh, okay. Well, some guy driving along said the signal was bad.
Do we have? I'm seeing no conference final games today, David. Sometimes the score app isn't as good as others when it comes to putting those up.
Nope. It's a bidless day. And I'll be honest with you. I don't know if there's a semifinal even. Like, I don't know that we'll have a bid tomorrow.
I don't even see any games tomorrow. So they're all going to be paired up, if you know what I mean. So I think you're right. Like the score app jumps from today to Saturday because they don't know what any of the games will be tomorrow, obviously, because they're all bracketed.
A lot of TBDs and what have you. But we have the America East final on Saturday.
Right.
Got the MEAC final Saturday. Got the Mountain West, Big 12, Big East, MAC. Got a bunch of them Saturday. Got 5 finals Sunday.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, Colin Morikawa did not talk after finishing second over the weekend in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Disappointing loss by 1 because the other guy chipped in for Eagle on 16. He hasn't won in 2 years, and he was grumpy, and he just didn't talk afterwards. And when asked about it earlier this week at the Players, said, yeah, I don't know you guys anything. And so we just asked the question, do the athletes owe anybody anything? Should they have to talk to the media after the game? Yes or no?
56% of you saying yes. The number has been decreasing throughout the show. We'll see how this one ends up by the morning. I think it'll be really close.
Yeah, I think no's going to win. Before you hit the thing, what's the most awkward firing that you can recall? And it could be personal, it could be professional, it could be sports. What's the most awkward firing story that you've got?
The most awkward firing story? Is there such thing as an unawkward firing story? I mean, firing's awkward.
It doesn't even have to be you. Like, to me, the most awkward firing story that I'm aware of is the Mets fired their manager, Willie Randolph, after the first game of a West Coast trip that they won. And they fired him at 3:06 in the morning, I think it was. Maybe it was 3:11, something like that. East Coast time. They fired him. 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell? So, you had that hockey firing. Remember, was it the Panthers with Gerard Gallant? And he had to catch his own cab after the game?
Yeah, I mean, the tarmac firing in college football is going to be up there.
Right. Yeah, Lane Kiffin.
Pat Hayden firing him on the tarmac there.
Right. Did you see the time? I know we did the story very briefly in the starting five. Virginia decided they're not going to bring back the interim head coach, but Minnesota fired Ben Johnson, their head coach. Did you see what time they fired? They lost in the Big Ten tournament. They flew back to Minneapolis. They get off the plane, they go back to the facility. The AD says, "Hey, need to talk." Yeah. Calls up somebody. Anyway, 1:09 a.m. Central Time. 2:09 a.m. Eastern. Minnesota fired their basketball coach. You can't wait till the morning?
All right. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. You get off the plane. It's 1:09 in the morning. First off, as someone who is experienced in having been fired, you always got a pretty good idea when it's coming. He had to have a pretty good idea. You know what he got to do, David? Sleep in.
Okay.
Because instead of, hey, meet me here at 8 in the morning. What for? Get this over with now. I don't want to get up, drive 30 minutes here so you can fire me. Are you nuts? Let's get this over with.
It's funny you say that. I got fired from Channel 12 in Binghamton. I had been to a funeral on Monday, so I was off. They didn't realize I wasn't going to be there. So they're calling, leaving messages on my machine Monday afternoon going, "Hey, where are you? We have to have a meeting, blah, blah, blah." I guess they've already hired my replacement. Guy shows up at the station ready to work. And they're like, yeah, we haven't fired the guy you're replacing yet. You need to go home. In fact, former NBC2 news anchor Craig Wolf in Southwest Florida, he was doing the news that day at Channel 12 in Binghamton. They had him do the sports. So anyway, I get back from the funeral late Monday night. I start playing the messages. Well, I realized by about the fifth message, I think something's going on here. And sure enough, they're like, yeah, you need to come in at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And I went, hell with that. If I'm getting fired, you get me when you get me. I showed up at lunch.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Locations in Bonita Springs and Naples. Mention Miller and Moulton for 10% off. Find your best self at Game Day Men's Health. We start in 1781 when William Herschel sees what he thinks is a comet, but actually discovers Uranus. That would be the planet Uranus. American Chester Greenwood patents earmuffs today in 1877. He was 15 years old at the time.
You sure Uranus wasn't one of those MLB hats?
It's a good point. The Astros? Today in 1960, the Chicago Cardinals moved to St. Louis. And the White Sox unveiled new road uniforms with players' names above the numbers.
What year was this?
60.
Okay.
1965, Eric Clapton quits the Yardbirds. They were fine. Jeff Beck was his replacement. 8 Days a Week by the Beatles hits number 1 today in 65 as well. 1999, Holyfield and Lewis. A split draw after 12 rounds. Probably one of the best trilogies that's not talked about in boxing history.
Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield?
Holyfield Lewis. Didn't they go 3?
No, I thought Bowe and Holyfield went 3.
Okay, Bowe and Holyfield. I'm sorry. But I remember that split decision. People did not like that at all. Today, 99 also, Cher goes to number 1 with Believe using pitch correction software to distort her vocals, which opened the floodgates for many more auto-tuned hits. So we can blame Cher. Amy Winehouse's second album, Back to Black, which featured Rehab, was released today in 2007. Jorge Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis today in 2013. And 2 years ago, vinyl outsells CDs for the first time since 1987. Fred Berry and Andy Bean would have celebrated birthdays today. You all know who Andy Bean is. Fred Berry?
Rerun.
Damn right. From What's Happening.
Hey.
That wasn't rerun. That wasn't rerun. That was Dwayne.
Okay, gotcha.
That wasn't the guy that lived at the house. That was the little skinny guy that was his buddy.
Gotcha.
Neil Sedaka is 86. William H. Macy is 75. Adam Clayton from U2 is 65. Will Clark is 61. Trent Dilfer and the rapper Common are both 53. Johan Santana, 46. PK Subban, 36. Michaela Schifrin is 30. Braden Point, 29. And Coco Gauff is 21. What did I miss, David?
First off, that Michaela Schifrin, she just won what, her 100th skiing race the other day? I mean, that's amazing. You mean to tell Neil Sedaka's what?
86.
I thought Neil Sedaka was in his 60s or 70s in the 80s.
Yes, I was shocked to discover he was still alive.
Wow. All right. Happy 86 to Neil Sedaka. 5 years ago today in Louisville, they killed Breonna Taylor.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to California for the good, where when the Palisades wildfires left Catherine Kiefer's home in ashes, she thought that she lost her cat as well. Over the weekend, the 82-year-old got a call from the West LA Animal Shelter to find out that her cat, Aggie, was still alive and well, and because of a chip, the microchip, reunited with her owner, and they brought the 82-year-old and the cat back together. For the bad, we go to Memphis, Tennessee, where 5 men were arrested for dancing in an intersection. Police say a Chevy Malibu stopped at a green light and 5 men jumped out of the car. 4 men surrounded the car. 1 got on the hood and they all started twerking. Right. The 5 passengers between 18 and 22 were all arrested and taken to jail. Unbelievable for twerking outside there. Get a sense of humor.
Twerking?
Yeah.
Well, what were they arrested for? What law are you breaking by twerking?
Blocking an intersection.
Hate those technicalities.
And finally, We go to the not so friendly skies for the ugly. Air India is urging travelers to use lavatories only for purposes that they are meant for after a flight to Delhi returned to Chicago because 8 of its 12 toilets became clogged. They were 5 hours into the flight from Chicago to Delhi when they had to turn around because of the 8 clogged toilets. Plastic bags, rags, and clothing items were all found having been flushed down the toilet. Not sure how much curry was eaten before that flight, but I've got to imagine that plane stunk to high heaven.
Yes.
And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 13th, 2025.
Yeah, my guess is there was an O'Dare to that flight. 5 games in the NBA. Orlando's in New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. Your TNT double dip, 7:30, Lakers and Bucks, 10 o'clock, Sacramento and Golden State. Hockey, full night, all of it on ESPN Plus, however. Panthers are in Toronto, Lightning are in Philadelphia. Panthers, Toronto, isn't that for first in the division? Panthers up by 2 points.
That is exactly right, David.
But
Toronto,
the Leafs have a game in hand.
Yeah, Toronto has a game in hand.
So Toronto, with a regulation win, would take over first from Florida. Obviously, a lot of games with playoff ramifications because the wild card races are so tight. Rangers are in Minnesota to take on the Wild. Rangers have one of the, if not the most difficult schedules the rest of the way. One of the reasons why at the trade deadline, I didn't think the Rangers were going to make the playoffs. Just like I don't think Calgary's going to, because they have a 6 out of 8 road trip coming up here soon, and they're terrible on the road. But anyway.
Big one tonight for the Rangers.
Ovechkin in L.A. to take on the Kings. What's he, 8 away from tying, 9 away from passing Gretzky? They have 17 games left as a team. Here's the other thing. They're the 1 seed. I mean, if he's within a goal or two, you sit him out the finale?
What?
Just, Mark, you can't have him get hurt.
This is the NHL. They don't sit players.
Just 1 game, they might. Just 1 game. Okay? Last game of the regular season, it's meaningless. You're the 1 seed. He's 2 goals away from Gretzky.
Oh, no, he's playing. If he's 3 goals back, I might consider it. And I'm not kidding here.
I think it depends on where the game is. I don't know their schedule. My guess is if he's home, he's got to play. But if he's on the road, I don't think he plays.
I think he's playing every game the rest of the way trying to get this record.
We do not have a conference final, a bid on the line in college hoops tonight. And I don't think we have one tomorrow.
No, we don't. Not until Saturday do we have an actual bid up for grabs.
Indiana, do you think they're in? They play Oregon, second round of the Big Ten tournament at noon. You think they're in, or do you think they need a win?
I think they need a win to secure it.
Texas has A&M, 3:30, SEC tournament.
Has to win.
So to you, they're out.
Yes.
Okay.
North Carolina has to win today to me. They play Wake Forest.
SMU has to win. They've got Clemson.
SMU's got to win the tournament.
Maybe. I contend they got Clemson today. They win. They got Louisville the next day. That'd be 25 wins and back-to-back quad 1 wins. I think they would get a lot closer to the bubble than people think. But you might be right. Miller and Moulton. Hey, have a great rest of your day. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.